97.3.
City 97.3. Accra.
There can be no other 97.3. No need to change. Keep it tuned to City. You're number one. Don't look no further. We've got it all covered. City FM.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Good morning to life.
Good morning.
Music. Talk. Inspiration. In perspective.
Express yourself. Good morning, my neighbor.
City FM, your station.
It's a refreshing lifestyle.
City FM 97.3.
Yes, 11th April 2008. That was the last time I worked.
At that time, how old were you?
I was 18, 19. Right after secondary school. Right after secondary school. And then I had gone for interview at part-time. And then waiting for the admission letter. The letter came and met me on the sick bed. So that's exactly what happened. Yes. So looking at the sacrifice she made, then I think I was looking for the opportunity to celebrate her. So when I saw the portrait of Mahama, then I said, well, let me just put it in and see what will happen. And then I tried and it worked.
Castro, Castro say, program be say, so. Okay, the time when I would say, we say ABC.
So,
Ria Money Transfer or Transfast, receiving my money through ADB's remittance services is guaranteed. And with some of these services, you can receive the money directly into your ADB account. Do you know what the best part is?
Share with us.
I can receive it at any ADB branch or selected branches on Saturdays and holidays. So my brother, you see, if you go somewhere else and you don't receive payment on time, all I can say is,
Visit any of ADB's 87 networked branches nationwide, whether you are a customer or not, for the best in remittance services. ADB, truly a Greek and more.
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Sitting in the morning sun and watching all the birds passing by. Oh, how sweet they sing, and oh, how much I wish that I could fly. And I tried, I said I tried. I really try, but I got to pick myself up, dust myself off, start all over again. I got to pick myself up and dust myself off, start. Sitting in the midday sun and wondering where my meal's coming from. After working so hard, not even piece of bread, I mean, yeah. And I said I tried, oh Lord, I tried. Said
I call him the royal voice of reggae, Peter Tosh.
Really try, but I got to pick myself up and dust myself off, start all over.
Pick myself up, dust myself up, and start all over. Don't wait for somebody to pick you up. Use your own handkerchief, dust yourself and move. Like the day your car broke down on the Gimpa Road, just pick yourself up, Charlie. You look left, nobody. Look right, nobody. Put triangle, then start jogging. Now you will jog. Yeah, learn to pick yourself up, man. I call him the royal voice of reggae. The majestic Peter Tosh. He's the one who said, anything you can do, I can do it better because I'm the tougher one. Yeah, he was doing insinuation. We are getting into the newspaper review on a great Tuesday morning. It's the 16th day of May. It's brought to us by Total Energies. A poorly maintained car can age faster. We are offering ART-enabled quartz engine oil, a breakthrough technology. It innovates and ensures optimal performance for your engine and improves protection against mechanical wear by up to 74%. Choose quartz from Total Energies today. Choose the engine oil that keeps your engine running efficiently and effectively. So I have Richard Sky and Godfred Akotoboa who are here in the studio. It's okay. Wearing a black top and a coolie high. Yeah, you look like a newspaper boy in the UK. You know what I'm saying?
The weather is on way.
Which way? It's on way.
According to ABF, when the weather is cold, every woman is beautiful.
You know, if we say we use his coat, I don't know how many we will get. Maybe we can get for a whole month.
I'm telling you.
So ABA code today is sponsored by Charlie. We need a sponsor for it. If you can get sponsorship, we'll find Maybe
We are listening now.
so today's quote is what?
When the weather is good.
But some of the quotes, you can't say it in the morning. Children will understand.
But
his quotes are
It is
not
not
for
for
children.
their comprehension.
It's too serious. But you know, the proverb is supposed to hide the obvious so that only the wise will understand.
Oh, yeah, is it?
But some of his quotes, Charlie, is somewhere. Like the ones that are at least on.
Charlie, the one that killed me.
Charlie.
He says that when you see a dead man being buried quickly, it means that
We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. It's too early.
but the one that actually like.
But
is
did
the one-
he
is
did
the
he
one
actually say
about-
that?
Yes. This is the one about the common. Is it the common man slap? It is the mosquito.
It says it's only the irritation of a mosquito that allows a common man to slap a chief.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a very, very big one.
Meanwhile, a man who cannot perform his nightly duties blames irritant mosquitoes. He's a whole institution.
Anyway, Bernard,
Yeah.
front page of the Daily Guide, let me take you there. The OSP is busy.
Yep.
And says that OSP chases money throwing NDC MP aspirant. That's Juliana K. Wasan. I have a lot of work for the OSP to do today. The GRA as well, and IOCO as well. Today I'll spend a lot of time with them.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's the Daily
Ajia
Guide.
for real extradited to US in $2 million romance scam. And then the IMF cash hits BOG this week. We don't know if that is actually what it is, but that's what seems to be running around.
When I spoke to,
a lot.
I don't know if you heard Amin. He said yes. By tomorrow,
The money will land.
I mean they will free the money. So it depends on which motorway it's on. If it goes within the speed limit,
Yeah,
it will
we need
reach
to be at the Gozoka International Airport.
to do hour.
You better be sure it is
The
tomorrow.
Chronicle says a victory speech pledge. Mahama to return Unibank to Dufour.
Hey.
That is how they are interpreting the speech, because it spoke about these banking licenses that were withdrawn wrongly in his view. 4 charged with fraudulent land sale at Sakumono Ramsar site. Also, failed LPG cylinders must be properly secured whilst transporting them. The MPA is making that call on all.
Let me take you to the front page of the Anchor newspaper. Another dirty report gathers dust on minister's table. Non-formal education staff, controller office, others finger. It comes to the photo of one Francis Asumedu and the education minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. Galamsey pit swallows 7 miners, 17 others remain trapped. Lotto marketers reject nuisance taxes. It's also on the front page of the paper.
Let me take you to... Okay, go on. Okay, the finance says this morning, despite paying 10 billion Ghana cedis to contractors in 4 years, our government, we are told, owes you and I over 16 billion Ghana cedis, and that is directed at road and building contractors, and they are crying out. Also, we are told that transport fares will be reduced by 10% effective tomorrow. That's Wednesday. And then Ghana lacks processing capacity to soon ban raw materials exports. You know, the president spoke recently and said that they intend to slap a ban in the long term, in the medium to long term, on raw materials exports. And then 2 granted 10,000 Ghana cedi bail over illegal connection.
Okay, let's go online. City News. Okay, now let's do Crusading Guide.
Yeah, the new Crusading Guide also says IMF deal sealed. First tranche drops this week. Also, Ochene goes after Amanase chief, angry over cemetery sale. You know, this thing has been making the headlines. Also, socialist movement condemns latest Israeli aggression on Palestine.
CityNewsroom.com. NDC leadership wanted me out. This is Buntaka. He's talking about his parliamentary travails. Dufour caused his son's defeat. Global Info Analytics is saying this. My appointees will not be entitled to ex gratia. This is Mahama. And then multiple sources reporting transport fares to go down by 10% from May 17. And also 17 persons trapped as mining pit caves in at Birim North. And then in a few more stories on that website, we're told we are suffering. Pay our allowances or face our wrath. Rotational nurses.
Yes.
And then man shot dead by unknown assailants. Brutal murder. 18 people killing a family head in Botiano. These things are becoming very serious. Now, there's been a few in parts of Accra in the past couple of years. Hajia for real extradited from UK to US over alleged $2 million romance scam. All these stories on citynewsroom.com. Plus, MPP will struggle to win Domi Kwabenya without Adjoa Safo. This is according to the same pollster. MyJoyOnline.com is leading with the the mining story. 7 dead, only 5 rescued alive. Many remain trapped underground. Eyewitness in Brim North, Galamsey disaster. NDC primaries, another angle to the Muntakak. He says, in politics, people do not forgive.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Also, start writing your handover notes. Mahama tells MPP government. And then NDC needs to instill discipline within its rank and file. This is Samuel George being quoted as well. City Business News is all about the IMF. Professor Gachi doubts approval of first tranche by Wednesday. This is in relation to IMF deal. We are also told that pensioner bondholders forum yet to receive payment of matured coupons. That story seems to be an everlasting one on our business page in various forms. An economist is cautioning government to be fiscally responsible after IMF board approval, because they are quoting Dr. Amina saying that we'll go back to the markets after the approval. Let me just take you finally to Bloomberg in Africa. A couple of interesting stories. Nigeria mobile operators are barring text service for banks over almost $260 million debt.
Wow.
So the banks owe the telcos, and the telcos are saying that type of service that they offer the banks, they won't offer it until the money is paid. Meanwhile, Africa's biggest mobile firm plans new $320 million fiber cable. So more developments within the sector. Let's get into the details.
I'll start from the US, where they are extraditing people.
So the Hajia for real story.
Yes, that's where I'm starting
is
from.
Okay.
On page 6 of the Daily Guide.
All right.
Ghanaian social media influencer Hajia for real name Mona Faiz Montrash has been extradited from the UK to the US for alleged involvement in a $2 million romance scam. Federal prosecutors say the socialite musician allegedly defrauded elderly single American men and women out of over $2 million in a depraved Lonely Heart scam. Reports indicate that Hajia for real appeared in a federal court in Manhattan yesterday for alleged involvement in several romance scams. According to the prosecution, Hajia for real's romance scams targeted single elderly Americans who were living alone. According to her attorney, she has been released in the upcoming days on a $500,000 bail with a GPS monitor via an ankle monitor.
Has she always been living in the UK?
No. She went on
a trip, and then they
yeah, that was like in December.
Could she have been extradited if she were in Ghana?
Yes.
We have that arrangement.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, so Interpol and stuff.
Yes, I think it's
and also there's something known as mutual legal assistance.
Good. So that story is something I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about. Social media is reacting to it.
Yes. Now I'll link that to the OSP chasing Juliana K. Wasan.
Okay.
On page 3 of the same newspaper, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has summoned Juliana Kinang Wasan, a defeated NDC parliamentary aspirant for Ejura Sechedumasi over suspected instance of corruption against her. Juliana, who placed 4th in the parliamentary primary after garnering 216 votes, threw money on delegates at the Ahmadiyya School Park during the polls as a way of voter inducement.
Okay.
In a viral video, she was seen throwing currency notes on people in the constituency in what is considered to be a cash bribe to voters, and this caught the attention of the police and now the OSP.
All right.
Okay, so let me take you to some related stories in the area of fraud. If you go to page 2 of the Chronicle, 4 charged with fraudulent sale of land at Sakumono Ramsar site. Now, the story, it says that 3 men and another who is at large have been accused of selling land at Sakumono Ramsar site. The cost of $7,700 to an estate developer without a title deed. Now, they were charged with conspiracy to commit crime and fraudulent transaction. Now, the accused persons are Ashi Enum, Emmanuel Otu Damfa, Daniel Bote, and Ishmael Afote, who is at large. Now, their pleas were not taken because they all failed to appear before Accra, a circuit court in Accra, presided over by Samuel Bright Aqua on Friday. There are some other stories on page 2 of the Chronicle with deal with stealing and all.
No, yeah, just give us the, since we're in that same area.
Exactly. So this one says, court grants shop attendant 80,000 Ghana cedi bail. Now, circuit court in Accra, presided over by His Honor Bright Samuel Aqua, has admitted Pedicta Yeboah, a shop attendant, who together with others stole wares, it's an allegation, worth thousands of Ghana cedis from their employer, Vivian Nkansa, to a bail in the sum of 80,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the bail is to be executed by 2 sureties, one of whom should be an income earner. Now, Pedicta is standing trial as the first accused, with Bintu Mohammed, Charlotte Obamia, Prince Ampon Ma and Jacob Opong. Now, apparently, they are accused of, using their their positions in the shop to steal over 60,000 Ghana cedis.
Belonging to their employer.
Yeah, that's right. So they've been stealing allegedly.
So you have been employed to work and you are stealing the person who is...
Charlie. Employees in this country.
I don't even understand.
Those are the allegations.
Let's get into the politics. NDC's candidate John Mahama's acceptance speech.
Yes,
number of stories from there.
Yes, the anchor on page 5 says, start preparing your handover notes. Mahama tells NPP. Former President John Dramani Mahama has said the National Democratic Congress will win the 2024 general elections. The newly elected flag bearer of the NDC said the governing party must start preparing its handover notes and be prepared to render accountability for their stewardship. Delivering a formal acceptance speech after his victory in the presidential primaries of the NDC on Saturday, May 13th, Mr. Mahama said, quote, they must start preparing the handover notes and get ready to account to the people for their stewardship. He said, ours will be a progressive government that provides equal opportunities for decent and sustainable livelihoods. By working together with Ghanaians, we shall turn Ghana's hopeless and gloom today into a better and brighter tomorrow.
Let's stay with former President John Dramani Mahama, because page 3 of the Chronicle has a story, Mahama to return Unibank to Dufo. Now, Max Olofori reporting says that the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has promised to give back licenses to now defunct banks to their owners because they were unjustly revoked. Though Mr. Mahama did not state which licenses were revoked unjustly, he promised to return them as far as practicable. Now, in the event he wins the 2024 presidential elections and chooses to walk the talk, owners, including his main contender in the primaries, who withdrew from the race in the nick of time, Dr. Kobina Dufo, may have his Unibank back in operation. Other personalities who may have their banks returned to them are Prince Kofi Amwabeng's UT Bank, Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum's GN Bank, and Seidu Agongo's Heritage Bank, amongst others. Now, the former president, who was elected as flag bearer of the NDC for the third time, made a promise yesterday in Tamale when he was giving his acceptance speech following his endorsement.
The other story, which I know interests you, is where he said that his appointees will not be entitled to ex gratia. He's repeated this because he said this before. And he says if he wins, his ministers and other appointees will not be entitled to ex gratia. He basically said he's committed to operating an effective government with no more than 60 ministers. These ministers, together with other appointees of government, will not be entitled to ex gratia payments after their tenure, as they will commit to that undertaking even before the necessary constitutional amendment, including the review of the Article 71. And then he had made this claim, I think, in March as well, during his campaign launch. All right. Now, let's move to a couple stories.
I thought I should just bring you something quickly regarding Ketu North constituency.
Because even the party had called for ceasefire.
Yeah, it looks like...
Yesterday, there were a number of interviews. So, Umaru Sanda interviewed James Gunu, who's the secretary for the Volta region, and he was trying to explain the position of the party. The understanding that the election was a tie. And then Sanda also called one of the contenders, Sedem Agbana, who says that Mr. Gunu was telling lies, and essentially said that they had been gagged, asked not to speak, but because the secretary was not telling the truth, he had to come in to explain what happened. Then later on, another group in Ketu North then comes out to also issue a statement that they are supporting Mr. Agbana, so the party should stop trying to frustrate him. The party says they will deliberate on the issue internally. So it's like Ketu North is on fire.
Yeah, but it is important to recognize that that constituency is somehow seeing an appreciation of the votes of the MPP. So you cannot afford to be fighting internally. If they continue this fight and they do not resolve it, that is most likely going to go against them in a primary.
All right, let's go back to Godfred.
Yes,
stop that.
I will tell you about Amanase and the Ochihine.
Yes.
On page 6 of the Daily Guide, there's a photo of the chiefs of Amanase prostrating before the Ochihine.
What have they done?
Daniel Bampo writes that the sub-chiefs of Amanase, led by Jasehene Nana Ado Ejekum, yesterday went on their knees at the Oforipenyin Fiechebi to beg the Ochihine, Sajifa Mweti Oforipenyin, over the accusation that he authorized the selling of an old cemetery to an investor to be used for the construction of a fuel station.
Speaking about, okay, go on.
Yeah, the chief was summoned before the Chibi Judicial Council for questions yesterday. He failed to justify what he said other than to eat humble pie by going on his knees to beg the Ochihine.
Now let's talk about mining. 17 persons trapped as mining pit caves in Adbirim North. This story is from Nilni Kanaku, our Eastern Regional correspondent. Rescue operations are underway to retrieve 17 persons' bodies who have been trapped after a mining pit in which they were working collapsed on them at Kolete Takoso a site in the Brim North District of the Eastern Region. According to reports, 9 out of those who were rescued from the debris, 7 confirmed dead, 2 still alive. Unclear what caused the collapse of the pit, but some people attribute to the heavy rains. And Citi News understands that the rescue operation is being led by locals and other miners who chased out journalists who went to the scene to cover the unfortunate incident. The 3 bodies have been deposited at the morgue after a local ambulance service was called in by the miners. John Online's version is similar, but they said only 5 rescued alive, 7 dead. That's the update that they have from the same place. Okay. And that as of 5:30 p.m., no official rescue effort had been established. And some of the people were complaining that there were delays in responding to what happened. Okay. So that's from the Eastern region.
Okay, Bernard, let me take you to this whole matter
16 billion.
People owing people. Now, the story is in the Finder, is by Elvis Dako, the editor-in-chief. Government owes us over 16 billion. Ghana City is a lot of money. Now, the road and building contractors are demanding the immediate payment of debts totaling over 16 billion Ghana cedis that government owes them on our behalf. Now, the indebtedness has made maintenance of equipment, servicing of loan principal and interest, payment of salaries, payment of taxes, and other associated expenses impossible. Now, this has forced over 90% of contractors to pack out of project sites. This is serious. 90% of them, Bernard. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, said they have petitioned the Vice President, Dr. Mahama Bawumia, who has referred them to the Minister of Finance for redress. Wow. Now, the story goes on to say that the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, has said government inherited 17.8 billion Ghana cedis as commitment fees from the previous administration on road contracts. It goes on to say that previous government collateral road fund.
The previous government collateralized the road fund.
Yeah, that's what they want to say. With 1.3 billion UBA loan. Now, most road projects were paid for by the government and the road fund. But unfortunately, the previous administration in 2016 used the fund as collateral and borrowed 1.3 billion Ghana cedis from UBA.
We'll try and see if we can unravel this. I wanted to give you a couple of quick stories that will interest you. Muntaka is saying that NDC leadership wanted him out of parliament. He's also saying that in politics, people don't forgive. Former minority chief whip and MP for Aswase, Mubarak Muntaka Mohammed, has accused the leadership of the NDC of scheming to get him out of the Asawase constituency during the party's primaries on Saturday. According to him, some individuals within the party's leadership have been plotting to get him out of the parliament for some time now. But he says that their village god is not the same as the God of God Almighty. He said they are speaking to journalists after the day's primaries. Muntaka said the recent change in the minority leadership in parliament was part of the grand agenda. He points to the fact that James Abaji was not going for re-election, Haruna was not being contested, so it was clear that the strategy was to get him out. But then he says that God is not their village chief. God doesn't hate people because you hate them. And that's how come he got 1,063 votes, while his main contender, Masawood Mubarak, got 735. Muntaka is not a happy man.
He's just throwing shit. Yesterday I saw him dancing.
He was dancing to some music. Charlie, it's not easy.
But meanwhile, if you go to the Finder page, 4, there's a story about another deposed leader from the NDC side. Haruna Idrisu makes history for running unopposed in Tamale South for 4 consecutive terms.
Wow.
Now, the story says Tamale South Member of Parliament Haruna Idrisu holds the record as the only MP to have gone unopposed 4 times in a parliamentary primary under the 4th Republican Constitution. Now, the former minority leader went unopposed in the NDC last week in May 13 Delegates Congress of the party that selected presidential and parliamentary candidates for the December 7, 2024 general elections. Haruna is so shrewd. Yesterday, you watched...
Maybe he and ABA Fuseni should have a university.
Where they have...
Haruna will be doing the politics, ABA will be doing the proverbs. It would be nice. Haruna ABA Institute. Wonderful. Let's come back to
the IMF on page 3 of the new crusading guides. They are saying the IMF deal sealed. First tranche dropped this week. It's a story that has been running from yesterday. It says that Ghana is poised to receive the first tranche of a $3 billion loan from the IMF as it battles to repair its battered economy. Ghana hopes to secure approval for a previously agreed package of $600 million with disbursement likely by next week, according to Mohammed Amin Adam, a Minister of State the Ghana's finance ministry.
He also says that the amount would allow us to go back to the markets in due course. Now, I wanted to give you a couple of stories. I know it interests you a lot. Ghana school students talk about their social media addiction and how it affects their use of English.
Yes, that's Ramos Ej's work.
Yes, social media networks such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram have been shown to have significantly transformed student behavior. But the focus has been on students' social behavior and on how the English language is being spoken because of social media use. The relationship between social media and students' English language writing has been largely ignored. So a team of 4 researchers who specialize in language studies set out to study the relationship between social media use and English language performance. They studied one English as a second language class at Fiaseman Senior High School in Takwa, Western Region. English is Ghana's official language and a medium of instruction for all levels. Now, they learned from the students that they spend significant long periods of time on various social media platforms. Some even describe their use of social media as an addiction. They also found that their social media use had resulted in the adoption of shortened forms of English words in their writing, including in their English examinations. Now, the researchers concluded from their findings that the significantly long periods of time spent on social media platforms was worrying, considering that most of the sites they visited are not pro-learning. This means that they are sites which most activities are not academically oriented. In our view, as language and communication experts, this situation could culminate in poor performance in the English language, as the valuable time students need to study to improve their proficiencies channeled into unproductive exploits on social media. Our findings are important because in the West African Senior Secondary Examination, English language is a core subject that students need to pass before gaining entry into institutions of higher learning, like universities and training colleges. Really, really good research. We can discuss this later on.
That's right.
Yeah,
you know,
it's done by a viewmate.
Some of the quotes, the students, I visit social media twice in a day, say, I visit there every day. I can't count. I'm always there. And that person says, in a
How
day.
do they do that? With what?
Phones.
Yeah.
Why? Which school are they? Are they in secondary school?
They,
or junior
this,
school?
But students have phones.
Yes, but they mentioned a secondary school.
Yeah, I know, yes, man.
Yes, it's in Takwa.
Secondary school.
In fact, one student said, I'm 100% addicted. I can see that I am very addicted because it's very difficult to control my presence there. Now, for me, the key point is to even look at the social media platforms mentioned. So Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, YouTube, Instagram. And each of these social media platforms has its own special risks.
Yeah.
Maybe we should spend a day explaining some of the things happening on each of these platforms. Because I think some parents are not sure, don't know the difference.
Okay.
Right? So we need to explain. Telegram is being used to commit all kinds of heinous crimes. You know? I mean, YouTube is a social media platform that people now consume on television normally. But there are some of the social media platforms that are so private that really addicts young people. And we need to discuss this, if not today, maybe before the week ends.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a story here that says 2 granted 10,000 Ghana cedi bail each over illegal connection. If you're interested in that story, go to page 10 of the Finder. But there's something I want to bring to your attention. Sleeping in a room with a burning mosquito coil is hazardous. This is coming in from a doctor. The story says sleeping in a room with mosquito coils burning is dangerous. Dr. Mrs. Dorothy Hansen, a medical doctor at the International Maritime Hospital, has cautioned. Now, she said inhaling mosquito coil smoke and other materials burned to either kill or repel insects could cause lung disease.
Okay.
She made the remarks while discussing malaria at
Let me give you 3 Nigeria or Africa-wide stories from Bloomberg. Now, Nigeria mobile operators to stop text message service for banks over a $259 million debt. Let me just give you 2 paragraphs of this. Stories by Emele Onu. It says mobile phone operators in Nigeria, including MTN and Airtel, will stop providing dedicated text message services to banks until the lenders pay 120 billion naira, equivalent of $259 million in arrears. Now, the operators will continue the so-called USSD. I don't know what you know USSD stands for. Unstructured supplementary service data based on their contacts within the lender. So you know how some bank services can be, you do *170#. So in Nigeria, this service is crucial for a lot of poor people in Africa because they use basic feature phones. So it's a significant development, right? Because in Nigeria, their banks have proved a bit more powerful in their tussle with the telcos for the mobile money space. So this is a significant development where the telco says, if you don't pay me, I'm not going to allow your USSD to work. Second story is still from Nigeria. Tony Elumelu has tightened his grip on Nigeria's biggest conglomerate. The company is called Transcorp. His wife bought 5% of Transcorp. The purchase helped his family to raise their stake to about 30%. This is a story that has been
going around. Transcorp is owned by Oh,
So the stock.
I think that's Otedola's company. if I'm
Yes,
not
Femi
mistaken.
Otedola. So Nigerian tycoon Tolem Elumelu's family raised its stake in the nation's biggest conglomerate after awarding off a takeover threat from a rival. So it's two big giants. Elumelu's wife Awele acquired 5.1% of Transnational Corp of Nigeria according to regulatory filings on Friday. That boosts the family's record holdings to at least 30%, which according to Nigerian takeover rules is the threshold for triggering an open offer. Now, before the latest acquisition, the tycoon spent about $65 million to buy 11.7 billion shares of the company known as Transcorp at various price levels starting April 27. Now, he began boosting this share a day after his rival, Femi Otedola, accumulated a 5% stake in the company, making him the largest single shareholder. So Otedola has sold his shares to Elumelu. Those
Yeah,
of
this
you are
had
interested.
been brewing for some time. The two of them actually had, engaged in
Yeah.
some level of.
So what is Transcorp? They control about 16% of Nigeria's electricity generation capacity. They run hotels and they explore for oil. So it's a big company. Final story, MTN, Africa's biggest mobile telephony, Africa's biggest mobile firm, plans new $320 million fiber cable to add 12,400 miles of cable in 10 countries. The network will boost internet speed in particularly landlocked countries.
That's good to know.
Great news coming in from
the internet,
MTN.
we need it.
Yeah, the last time I checked, Facebook was laying some major.
Yeah. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Godfred. The City Business News is next.
You know, you Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so
Somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched.
Sancho Panzapa.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Hey, sorry. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
City Business News next, brought to you by MTN and Goyle. Na Shika Caesar is here with the news. Good morning, Na.
Good morning, Bernard. Hello and welcome to the breakfast edition of the City Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goyle, and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. Coming up, members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum yet to receive payment for their matured coupons despite assurances from government. And also, transport fares to go down by 10% effective tomorrow due to a reduction in the price of petroleum products. The details. Despite reaching an agreement with the government, the members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum are yet to receive payment for their matured coupons following the suspension of their picketing at the Ministry of Finance. After 5 days, the bondholders were looking forward to their funds on Monday. However, checks with the group suggest that the accounts of members had not been credited as of close of business day yesterday. Dr. Edu Ananiinchi, who is the convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, tells City Business News that they remain hopeful of government's assurances.
Let's say it has funded or not, because it's too early. Even if they issue the instructions, it's not likely that the monies will be hitting accounts today. But I'm saying that even if government issue the instructions, assuming, I don't know, because that's just instructions to the agent. If the instruction goes out today, it's not likely anybody will have it the same day. It is possible, but it's not very likely. Nobody has said he has received anything. So let's wait and see Wednesday. Then we can confirm that payments are being made or are not. We just want to believe that government will pay, and I'm pretty sure once they got some money from the T-bills market, I'm sure that's why they are not able to come out to say they are going to pay all these arrears. So let's just wait. It's too early to conclude that whether or not something will be paid. So let's wait.
You heard a convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Anani Entry, speaking there. Now, an economist, Professor John Gachi, says that the $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, though not the panacea to Ghana's economic woes, will go a long way to improve the country's credit worthiness. Following poor fiscal policy measures, the country experienced economic downgrades by international rating agencies, and Ghana's credit worthiness was downgraded to junk status. However, it is expected that the first tranche of the IMF bailout fund, which will be used to settle creditors, will help reverse this trend to lead the country's economy to a swift economic recovery. Here is Professor John Gachi speaking to Citi Business News on the issue.
We are expecting part of the 3 billion. The 3 billion will be given in tranches against performance metrics that are given by the IMF and the government of Ghana in the agreement. Nobody is receiving 3 billion at a go. It will be in tranches, and that tranches will not solve the problem of Ghana, but it is very significant because it has the potential of attracting other institutions in opening up to Ghana. Other development institutions will come on board to support Ghana in other areas. Ghana's policies, fiscal and other policies of managing the economy will receive some kind of assurance and credibility. Those are the things that will do the deal for us. So when there is announcement of IMF release of funds, it will give a signal. We shall have a signaling effect of that, and that will actually help us to be on the path of recovery.
That was Professor John Gachi, who is an economist. Away from that, NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama wants Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to, as a matter of urgency, present to Parliament a mid-year budget review as the IMF board prepares to approve Ghana's balance of payment support. Mr. Mahama says the government must seek parliamentary approval before any spending is done. Speaking in Tamale, John Mahama says the IMF support should not be misused.
We expect that the Finance Minister will urgently present a mid-year review budget to Parliament, which would include any agreements they might have reached with the fund, and also one that critically cuts down government expenditure. The 2023 budget and financial statement presented to Parliament last November currently is riding on stilts with no stability. And this is why I insist government must immediately, upon approval of Ghana's program by the fund, review the 2023 budget to reflect the realities of our economic situation today.
That was NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama. Now, tax analyst Francis Tumorboy has indicated that government is unlikely to withdraw the Growth and Sustainability Levy in 2025 as promised. Parliament on March 31 passed the 3 tax bills, including the Growth and Sustainability Levy. The business community, including the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, and the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, kicked against the taxes, warning that they will affect business transactions. Speaking to Citi Business News, Francis Tumorboy urged the relevant tax enforcing authority to establish a final set of clause to the levy to clearly give businesses a better perspective of deductible taxes.
Current law, the Growth and Sustainability Law, in 2023, government expects to make around 2.2 billion Ghana cedis because a number of companies have been added. And almost every company now which make profits is going to pay some amount of tax. 2024, the same, and 2.6 billion Ghana cedis. 2025, we are told that almost 3 billion Ghana cedis is expected from this type of law. And again, if you look at 2026, government has made an estimate of almost 3.4 billion. So if it's going to end in 2024, why make an estimate of the revenue that is expected? So I think that it's a huge revenue source for government. And so it's unlikely that it will be withdrawn as stated in the law. It's likely to be extended as we've been doing since 2001. What I'm expecting is that it should have a final sunset clause so that businesses can plan very well. As it is now, every time we see it being rolled over. And I think that it's about time, if we want to make it permanent, let's state so that we remove the sunset clause for businesses to understand that there's an additional levy that is payable and not something that we put it in the law and then when the time comes, we extend it.
That was a task analyst, Francis Timorboy. Now, users of public transport will enjoy a 10% reduction in fares by effective Wednesday, May 17, 2023. This follows consistent marginal reductions in the price of fuel. The road transport operators in a statement on Monday night said the reduction affects shared taxis, intra-city, that's short or intercity, long distance and haulage. Prices of petroleum products have seen a marginal decline in the second pricing window of May 2023 as a result of the decrease in the price of crude on the international market and relative stability to the Ghana cedi. Predictions are that diesel petrol will likely be sold for 12 Ghana cedis 30 pesos and 12 Ghana cedis 15 pesos per litre respectively at the pumps. Commercial transport operators have been advised to comply with the new fares and post same at their loading terminals. Now, on the interbank foreign exchange market where banks trade among themselves, the dollar is selling at 10 cedis 97 pesos and did not record any price change. The British pound remained unchanged and is selling at 13 cedis 73 pesos. The euro lost 5 pesos and is selling at 11 cedis 93 pesos. However, at some forex bureaus in the capital, the dollar is selling for 11 cedis 90 pesos, while the British pound is selling at 14 cedis 90 pesos, and the euro is going for 13 cedis. Let's now join Mark Jordan Sikanate of Databank for the latest update on the bond markets.
At last Friday's money market auction, the Treasury missed its auction target by 16.55% as investors submitted total bids worth 2.78 billion Ghana cedis. The uptake, however, exceeded the corresponding maturities by 20.62%. Despite the cooling inflation, yields on the 91-day and the 182-day bills upturned to 20.43% and 22.96% respectively, while the 364-day yield advanced to 27.59%. Activity slowed down on the secondary bond markets last week as there were no trades recorded for the new bonds. Following this, the Data Bank Bond Index was on change at 96.53 points with a weighted yield to maturity of 9.84%.
That was Mark Jordan Sikanate of Databank with the latest update on the bonds market. And that's it for the breakfast edition of the Citi Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, GOIL, and powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citibusinessnews.com. I'm Nashika Caesar. Have a good business day.
Want to feel energized for more? Fuel up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from GOIL. Our high grade fuel comes at no extra cost but with more power. And our Diesel XP, it's low in sulfur, making it an eco-friendly option for your vehicle. Experience high performance and quality with our products. Available everywhere. Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Good energy.
Doing gets you learning. Learning starts you wondering. Wondering triggers thinking. Thinking becomes planning. Planning evolves to trying. After trying, you're succeeding, winning, owning. Now, doing that starts with outdoing your limits. Outdo them all with MTN. So, what are we doing today?
Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
It's 12 minutes past the hour of 7. This is Citi Breakfast Show. Citi Business News with Nashika Caesar was brought to us by GOIL Good Energy. So what do you do when you run out of fuel in your vehicle? Do you just stop up anywhere you go? Well, Well, don't do that. Let's introduce you to the Good Energy family and why you must be part. 1, our Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP are the best quality fuels with high performance in town for your car. The Super XP Ron 95 is a high-grade fuel that's sold at the same price as normal fuel. It's low in sulfur, making it an eco-friendly option for your vehicle. With over 440 stations across the nation, join the family that rewards you with quality for an energized driving experience. Business news also brought to us by MTN. Wish to inform all valued customers who haven't registered in their SIM cards with the Ghana card to do this as directed by the National Communications Authority. Now, all unregistered phone numbers will be disconnected permanently by 31st May 2023. Complete your registration with the Ghana card, GPS address, and your unique code at any MTN service center or any of the MTN agents across the country. Kickoff is coming up shortly. It's brought to you by Leshehu. Over a decade, Leshehu Savings and Loans has been supporting the investment goals of customers with attractive solutions. We've been a safe haven for depositors who value security as well as competitive returns. We offer flexible deposit products for 91-day, 182-day, and 365 days. Call us on 0577 707 700. Leshehu, let's improve life. And Shell Fuel Save has given us a way to go further and save money with our Super Triple Action Formula. It improves engine efficiency, prevents deposit buildup, and protects your engine from wear and corrosion. Switch to Shell Fuel Save today because extra kilometers go a long way. Benjamin Nketiah is here. Kickoff is next. What a night for Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool finishing the season strong. Might be too little, too late. But in the headlines, King Faisal Football Club set sights on qualifying for the CAF Confederations Cup. Inter Milan take on rivals AC Milan in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-finals. And in the NBA, the Lakers take on the Nuggets in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Get to the details now, and Communications Director of King Faisal Football Club, Awal Mohammed, has revealed the club's ambition to represent Ghana in next season's CAF Confederations Cup. King Faisal will face Dreams FC in the final of the MTN FA Cup, and they will be seeking to pick up that ticket that takes them to the CAF Confed Cup. Now, seeking to City Sports, Awal Mohammed revealed that the club president, Alhaji Karim Grunta, has made a commitment to financially support the team if they qualify for the competition.
The club president has promised the players that they should try and win the FA Cup for the team, more especially for him. And he has already promised them that if they are able to win the cup, he will make sure he will provide everything for the team to go to the Africa. Yes, the perception, not being able to represent Ghana in the CAF Confederation Cup, but for we as a club, I believe very well that if we are able to win the MTN FA Cup, by then I believe very well that we'll be ready to represent Ghana in the CAF Confederation Cup. We have about a few months ahead. I know that next season's CAF Interclub competition will start around October, November. So by then, if you are able to win the FA Cup, I believe very well that we'll be ready for the CAF Confederation Cup.
So you heard Communications Director for King Faisal Football Club, Awal Mohammed, speaking there. Let's get to some more Ghana Premier League related stuff, and let's get to somebody who knows King Faisal well. Former Ghana midfielder Yusuf Chipsa, he played for King Faisal at a point. He has strongly advocated for Chris Hughton to build the foundation of the Black Stars team around emerging young talent. Now, following consecutive victories against Angola in March, which resulted in 4 points, the senior national team is scheduled to resume their competitive fixtures next month against Madagascar in a crucial penultimate match of Group E. Now, Chipsa expressed his thoughts on this matter in an interview with Citi Sports.
We expect win, but some of us look beyond the win. We just want to see a formidable team, a team that we can rely on for years. We shouldn't only focus on winning. It's important. It's very, very important. Don't take that away from me. As I said, the general expectation is to win. The general expectation is to win. But then we want to see Chris Hughton building us a formidable team that we can rely on for years, 2, 3, 4 years. You see, a majority of about 80% or 70% of the squad, current squad, are young players. Talking about the Kudus, the Kamaldins, the Gideon Mensens, and Osman Bukhari and co. So let's build the team around these players and let's lay a foundation that can see them being together for 3, 4 years.
We had former Black Stars midfielder Yusuf Chipsa speaking there. Let's get to some other news. And the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana has held a significant meeting involving the playing body, technical team, management, and board members of Accra Heart of Folk. Now, the interaction focused on matters concerning career development and providing education on the PFAG's activities. The meeting was organized as part of the PFAG's ongoing initiative to visit clubs for educational and familiarization purposes. So with the PFAG doing some good work there, let's move on to some other stuff. An assistant coach of the Black Stars, Didi Dramani, has branded bottom place Kotoku Royals as being one of the finest teams in the Betpower Premier League despite their club's relegation. Now, after spending just a single season in the top flight, the team from Odan will make a return to Division 1 next season. Nonetheless, Dramani expressed nothing but praise for Kotoku Royals.
You know, Kotoku Royal, for instance, for me is one of my best teams in the league. Even though they are on the lowly placed, but they are playing one of the best games. And so I've watched a lot of their games, and I think that the team with the consistent approach and then managing the squad very well will win the league. The best team with the right consistency and then the right managing of the squad will win the league. You need to manage the squad at this point. You need to know when to reduce the load and when to give some players the opportunity to rest in terms of mental and physical, and then you can have them to finish the league well.
So you had Masood Didi Dramani, assistant head coach of Ghana's Black Stars. Let's move on to some Champions League stuff happening. Inter Milan, they will be up against AC Milan Football Club. Now, Inter Milan, they won the first leg by 2-0. So AC Milan, they will be seeking to overturn that deficit tonight. Let's get to the camp of the two teams and let's get to Inter Milan's manager Simone Inzaghi. He has been speaking through an interpreter and he has been highlighting the importance of the game ahead.
We know that tomorrow, that's going to be one of the most important matches in the century-long history of Inter. We know how much this game is important, how much it's important for us, for our club, for our fans. So we will need to play our best.
So you had Inter Milan manager Simone Inzaghi speaking. Then our AC Milan manager Stefano Pioli insists his team can overturn the tie and reach the final. He also spoke through an interpreter.
No, I don't think it's easy to prepare. Very important now. We have one key aim to win the match, but we also believe we can still qualify for the final of the Champions League by winning this match. If we do that, no one would have predicted that we would have reached the Champions League final. We would have got to this point. So the preparation for the match will be the best it can be, and I know that we can give a really good performance. I know how good my players are.
So you had Stefano Pioli. He is head coach of AC Milan Football Club. Big game ahead tonight. That game is at the San Siro. Let's turn our attention to the English Premier League. Leicester City and Liverpool were engaged in a game that closed out the game week. Liverpool compounding Leicester City's woes, beating them by 3-0. Curtis Jones had himself quite a game. Trent Alexander-Arnold also got in on the action. So Liverpool finishing the season strong as things stand now. Let's finish off with some basketball from the NBA playoffs. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals will happen tonight. Nikola Jokic will clash with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That should be an interesting one. We'll be looking forward to it. We'll bring you all updates here on Kickoff. That's all for this morning's edition of Kickoff. My name is Benjamin Nketia, the Small Sports at citysportsonline.com.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
If you need unique services, come to Let's Go. Innovative finance.
Acceptance speech, the former president addressed various sectors such as education, banking, health, and mining. Mahama pledged that the next NDC government would prioritize local participation to restore confidence in Ghana's economy and ensure that tax exemptions benefit Ghanaian businesses.
The NDC will reconsider the tax exemption regime, ensuring that any exemptions that are given are beneficial to the Ghanaian people. We'll further ensure that the extractive sector operates within a mutually beneficial tax environment for the stability of our exchange rate. We'll seek to make Ghana benefit more from its finite natural resources, and will encourage indigenously owned Ghanaian businesses that have the technology and capacity to operate their own productive mining concessions by themselves to do so. We have done it before, and we will do it again. Together with my team, we will enhance investor confidence in our country to attract credible domestic and foreign investors, especially in the manufacturing and light industry sector. This we will do by being transparent and not concealing economic data, such as the budget deficit, public debt, and our net international reserve.
In addition, Mahama stated that his administration will reinstate the licenses of banks that were revoked as part of the government's financial sector reforms.
We will restore indigenous Ghanaian investment in the financing and banking sector. And we will create a tiered banking system that will serve various segments of the market. We will give the opportunity for experienced banking hands who were laid off and needlessly to secure their careers once more and move away from the menial jobs that they were compelled to take. As far as practicable, the banking licenses that were unjustly cancelled by this government will be restored. Ladies and gentlemen, our nation is still at the crossroads with crippling debt and an inefficient and wasteful government. We cannot continue this pathway. It is a betrayal of our people as a leader to keep doing things the same way when the results leave them poorer.
He also proposed the creation of a governance advisory council to enhance political governance and an independent value for money office to scrutinize procurement processes and combat corruption.
In that regard, we will establish a governance advisory council to help improve political governance, curb corruption, and ensure the respect of human rights. This council will include representatives of civil society organizations, religious leaders, traditional leaders, and ordinary Ghanaians. And amongst others, they will be empowered to release a State of Governance in Ghana report every year. This report will guide government in fine-tuning our good governance record. And as I said already, I'll run the leaders but most efficient government under the Fourth Republic by appointing not more than 60 ministers and deputy ministers. And I said already, I'll work to abolish the payment of ex gratia and cut out waste and ostentation in government. We shall work with Parliament and all stakeholders to complete the Constitution review process and strengthen the separation of powers. Government procurement is recognized as a major source of corruption and misappropriation of public funds. We will therefore, among other measures, set up an independent value for money office to scrutinize all government procurements that are above a $5 million threshold or as shall be recommended by Parliament.
During the same event, former minority leader and member of parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, expressed his belief that John Dramani Mahama's election as the NDC flag bearer would help rescue Ghana from the current government led by Akufo-Addo and Bawumia.
Their support and solidarity to his bid to the presidency. He comes to the presidency with some unique characteristics. At least for John Dramani Mahama, he is not the sketch. He is a full portrait, not the sketch. He is a full portrait of a leader. And for him, public service is a calling. And he's only come back to lead the NDC to rescue our country, as was described by the national chairman, for the country being run to its lowest ebb. Nana Addo Dankwa and Dr. Bawumia have run this economy to the nadir of economic failure.
In his acceptance speech, the former president addressed various sectors such as education, banking, health, and mining. Mahama pledged that the next NDC government would prioritize local participation.
Eyezu! Eyezuzu! Eyezu! Thank you very much. Your Excellency, with your permission, I would like to stand on the protocols earlier established by the previous speakers so we can save time. Today, I don't intend to deliver a long speech because this is an event to listen to the newly elected flag bearer. Indeed, it should have happened on the election night in Accra, but because he had to come to the north to cast the vote, it could not happen. So we have come to continue the program to its conclusion. I don't also intend to take the press attention from the wonderful speech we are about to expect from the new flag bearer. I just want to add something very little to the presentation by my General Secretary. He did a good job in reconnecting today with the past, 44 years ago. There's a little bit of it that was omitted. And that is to say that 44 years ago started the political journey of a man who was destined to be 3 times the President of the Republic of Ghana. And that was President Jerry John Rawlings. I have heard it being said throughout this campaign that somehow there is no history of any president who has sworn with our state source 3 times. Maybe they haven't learned the history properly. Because President Rawlings swore to the nation 3 times. First, as a chairman of AFRC. Second, as the chairman of PNDC. And the third, as the elected president of the Republic of Ghana. We never chose this day consciously, May 15. It just happened that today we are repeating history in another form. President Mahama is going to be the second president to swear to this nation for the 3rd time before he leaves. He has already sworn twice. He swore as a president after the unfortunate demise of President Atta Mills. The second term, when he was elected as President of the Republic. And January 7th, 2025, he is going to conclude the history-making of this country, because he is going to swear with the state sword for the third term as the President of the Republic of Ghana. This tells you that the man comes with divine guidance. Rawlings was chosen at a time when the nation was at a point we considered to be at the lowest ebb. We hadn't seen the work of Akufo-Addo yet. So at that time, we thought that that was the worst this country could come to. But today, those who can compare will realize that we were joking in those days. And that the real bad times of Ghana, the worst time of Ghana, is today. So if divine providence had chosen President Rawlings to rescue the country in those days, today President John Dramani Mahama is being chosen to do the work that had been left uncompleted by President Rawlings. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few remarks, I'd like to leave the day.
Go cast brothers for
Thank you very much.
It didn't know me the way I say, Charlie. This thing, feel like it's moved beyond the normal treasure for
of study group.
Study group. Is there nothing there?
We are.
I say, okay, beer no water.
Beer no water. Now 2 children have come out of the study group. They should name one. They name mathematics and then the other statistics. Also, wishing Hawa Idrisu Mustafa a happy birthday. She's with Citi team. She got married not too long ago. So, Hawa, happy birthday to you. Enjoy the day as well. Sharing your birthday with Ivy.
You are my star, my shining star. Come on, give me all your love.
All right, this one says, happy birthday to Nadine France, head credit risk management of Access Bank Ghana PLC, from your colleagues at the FMCG and CRM teams. And I'd like to say congratulations to my cousin, Dr. Nikita Dede Ajira, because she's launching her book today, Black and Bold Queens, Women in Ghana's History. It's a children's book that talks about the women who have, made their mark in terms of Ghana's history. So congrats to you, Nikita. She's having her book launch this morning at the University of Ghana.
Okay, so there's a very long one coming in from one of the great guys here at Citi FM, Jimmy Quist. So the first one says, my first daughter, Mami Yahan, is celebrating her 18th birthday today. It's her first year within the university circles. May she be blessed amongst her peers. Joys and happiness happiness is all I ask for her. The second one says that my last daughter, Rosalind Ewura Amba of Morning Glory Montessori, Teshinunga Estate. She's 3 years today. My Chief Justice, strong woman, may you be the Esther of your time. Favor and grace is what I ask for. The third one says, my wife, Rosalind Nanoko, you have made my world beautiful just by being yourself. You are my hope. I didn't ask for a perfect wife, but you are the perfect mother to our kids, to the inspiration of my life. A very happy 40th birthday. And the final one.
Are you reading the birthday request like a dirge?
Okay.
You are being careful.
The final one says that it is our 14th wedding anniversary and 20 years of friendship. It hasn't been easy, but we thank God for the journey. God has been good in all our challenges. Happy anniversary to us, dear. It's coming in from Papa Neza Ansa, aka Papa Boski, Kojo Sniper, and Papa Kwao. Love you guys.
You are my star, my shining star. Come on, give me all your love. I just can't get enough. I will never last a day when you take your love.
Also, wish an happy birthday to Carl Tufo of this is initially coming from your colleagues at SNIT.
Yeah, the truth.
And also for those of you who know Carl.
Carl the truth.
Yes, from your friends at Liverpool and also your sports friends. Carl the truth Tufo.
You know, the beautiful thing about watching someone from such distance, back in...
And then meeting them in the
Charlie, no, those days you'll be watching black and white television.
Carl Tufo.
You hide behind somebody's window and be watching it. Carl Tufo together with my former lecturer, Moses Wamweni. And then, what's the name? Kwabna Yeboah. They'll be discussing football and sports.
And then Kweku for
Charlie, and I came to meet the man. Charlie, I was so excited.
One day we should do a show about the presenters who influenced us.
Yeah.
My favorite was called Kofi Opariado.
Kofi Opariado, yes.
Amazing guy. I don't know where he's. The guy was.
I know he went to the US.
Like, when usually they had a couple of shows. They had the sports beats.
Sports beats on Saturday.
And they had the sports highlights. Yes. But then the punditry.
Football made in Germany.
The punditry for boxing was Moses.
Yes.
Moses Wamweni was a legendary
fight guy.
legendary
fights.
But this Kweku Fosasari was hosting sports beats. Yes. But Kofi Opariado was just good.
Charlie.
The logic. Charlie. Calm guy. Charlie. One day you should do a reunion.
Yeah, it's very important.
And then there was also another guy, this girl's father, M. Sims.
M. Sims, okay.
Emmanuel Simpson, I think.
Yeah, I remember him.
So there's, we as young people we like sports.
Yeah. So. And then Kwabna Japan.
Kwabna Japan, my God, like commentary, so rich.
Yeah, Neil and T. Van Der Poel will be doing the commentary.
Look, the very first day.
Neil and T. brought Wicked Awi to the game.
The very first time, like I met Carl up close and personal. This was in 2009. So I was doing Champions League on Metro TV, right? And Carl just walked into the studio and just sat down. He was vibing with the lyrics of Poku Rest His Soul. So it was the two Liverpool fans, and we were just chit-chatting, talking about the great Liverpool teams of the 70s. I was like,
wow. Great guy.
I was so shocked. I was so shocked one day. I went to Action Chapel to do something, and I saw him wearing a blue suit. So apparently he was part of the protocol team. I said,
that's a big man.
Charlie, they wear blue suit where they usher people and things. I said, I was shocked. So Charlie, good morning to Carl Tufo.
King Carl.
Yeah.
Carl the truth.
He's one of the,
Happy birthday
and I'll tell you this, like the way we do shows and people listen to us, you have no idea what it means when you just watch somebody on TV and he does his thing. You pick one or two lines from them. And one day you're also on air doing the same thing.
So much love, Carl.
To all the guys who influenced us, including, of course, now the head of the local organizing committee for the Ghana
2023 Africa Games, Dr. Kweku
Fosasari. He used the word ricochet. He said the ball ricocheted. He ricocheted.
He said,
what is ricochet? I went check. I couldn't get the spelling. I said, ricochet. What's that? He says ricochet. And then he says that one of the contestants say he has flair. He said Danado has flair. Yeah. So apparently flair is like the ease with which they play the ball, the skills.
The skill.
Yeah, you get flair.
Dexterity.
Yeah. Charlie, not easy. TV influencers, those guys. Before we got here. So good morning to all the big boys in the sports journalism fraternity, the men who we listened to in the 80s and the 90s. Now, Republic Bank knows that beyond Easter, there are travels to go for and payments to make. So we continue to make all your payments with our fantastic 4 credit cards. Enjoy great discounts from our partner merchants, cashback rewards, global concierge services, and access to over 1 million ATMs worldwide, while you stand a chance to win a 2-day staycation at Aqua Safari and other amazing prizes in the Tap for Easter and Beyond credit card promo. Just tap to pay, live the soft life, we've got you. Republic Bank, we're the one for you. Blue Pay helps you solve a very important headache where someone buys an item from your shop, sends you mobile money, leaves your shop, and you still don't have the notification of the cash hitting your account. Blue Pay allows you to receive cash instantly from customers. You only dial their phone number and the amount they owe. They'll receive the Blue Pay prompt on their phones to enter their PIN. You get your money. So use Blue Pay by simply slotting their bank card into your Blue Pay POS, enter their PIN, and you get your money. Call or WhatsApp 054-722-0200 or visit bluepay.com.gh to register and get Blue Pay for your business today. You know one of the things that I find baffling. So, Godfred and Sky, you read a story today about people stealing from their employers.
Mm-hmm.
And the modus operandi used, I'm not clear whether they were basically taking physical money and hiding the money or they were using digital means. Because one of the selling points for technology has been the fact that it reduces theft. So I'll give you an example. If you go to a filling station to buy petrol and you give that attendee cash, there are things that could happen to the cash and the owner cannot track. But if all the people made payments with Momo, the owner can know from the back end that this is the amount of money made. So you can say the same. So, for example, you go to a what they call a grocery shop, what they call in Ghana a provision shop. A lot of the serious ones have scanned the barcode of the product. So when you buy the product, the guy doesn't have to just tell you how much it is. He basically, or she, picks even it could be bread, it could be anything, puts it on the scanner, and then it tells you the amount, so that the system knows how much is being sold per day. And you can even use that to analyze which of my products move on what day. So you can tell that orange juice goes on Mondays, but on Fridays it's bread that goes. And you can know that the bread goes at 11 o'clock to 3 p.m. whilst the mango juice goes at whatever. So apart from the efficiency argument and the fact that you can generate data from technology, one of the selling points has been that it can reduce theft.
Mm-hmm.
But I get surprised that, when you take the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Ghanaian Chronicle, it's because sometimes they want to do it. Almost every day, people are stealing from their bosses.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to do that. I come to it from two angles. I want to come to it from the technology angle. All right, and I'll come to the Hajia for real issue with Godfred. But I'm just a bit concerned that if when I listen to the Vice President talk about technology, I understand what he says when he says when you digitize, you reduce. So for example, if all payments are made electronically, bribery reduces technically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I'm told there are places where you go, a policeman is even asking you to pay the thing to his momo, shamelessly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm told delegates, some of them say, we don't even want you pay us, Momo, we'll take. Mm-hmm. So my concern is it that technology is only good in reducing corruption and fraud insofar as the person doesn't want to do it? So does corruption stand a chance when a person is determined to steal? Let me flip the question. If you're a company owner and you sell stuff, to what extent can you use technology? And I'm using technology in a very broad sense. So that even includes, so for example, now we're told that all those who have SIMs, if you don't use a Ghana card to register the SIM will be taken from you. Because somebody can have 20 SIMs and be using the SIM to do fraud. All right? So they're saying, register your SIM with a Ghana card. So when the SIM does something, we know it belongs to Sky. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it the way to go to reduce corruption and fraud? Is technology the answer?
Yes, it can be the answer, but it depends on who is using it and for what purpose. So let me give you a typical example. When you are making a payment to, say, Godfred Akoto Boafo, when you key in your credentials or you observe the appropriate protocols, you make the necessary inputs, you'll be required to state a reference. Now, the purpose of that reference, as I understand it, is for you to say why you are paying Godfred.
Yeah.
So, or for, washing your car, or for fixing your tie, or for supplying you a player from, his club or something like that. So ideally, that should be the basis upon which because you cannot just be changing, money cannot just be changing hands like that.
So there has to be a reason for the transaction.
A reason for the transaction. So the money moves from your account to Godfrey's account. The issue here is whether people are tracking the claims that people like you are making as the basis for moving one money from your account to the other.
All right.
The question is, why did you pay Godfrey? Can it be properly established that the basis for paying him is lawful? But
so if Godfrey is a delegate in Ablekuma West, and I want to share TNT for him, and I send him 500 cedis and I call it TNT, how will the police say that's an electoral bribe?
Okay.
So I self-describe it. So is there an honesty requirement from the sender?
Okay. There is that honesty requirement imposed by law generally. The problem is that oftentimes the laws are not triggered until you find yourself in trouble. So over the last 5 years or so, you have been characterizing your payments to all kinds of people with all kinds of taglines or references. Then boom, they find that you have been allegedly stealing money from your company or your boss, and then you have been funneling the money through mobile money payments to all kinds of people. Now, that investigation will now try to track all suspicious payments that you may have made over the last 5 years. Because there is always that data leaving an electronic trail that can be used to...
Are you saying that technology may not prevent, but it eventually, they will use it to catch you?
Oh, yeah.
So in the front end, technology may not be able to prevent theft.
Yeah.
But in the back end, if authorities are determined to find out that something untoward happened.
Yeah, the electronic trail is there.
Okay. So,
but in terms of prevention, so for instance, I've been thinking, why is it that we still have fuel attendants in many of our filling stations? If you go to the UK and many other Western countries, you go, you pump the thing into your own tank. You either go into
the shop
and then pay, which requires honesty on your part, because you have to go there and pay. If you run away, they will catch you and prosecute you. But some other way of dealing with the problem in some parts of the UK is when you go, you key in before you actually
you key in your card details,
your financial details,
and then you buy the amount.
The amount you want to buy, and then you fetch it.
Dispense.
So the question is, why can't we repeat that in Ghana, so that if, for instance, fuel attendants are stealing their boss's cash, when you go to a filling station, you have your Zenith Bank card or maybe GCB card. So you put it into the system, you key in how much you want to buy, and then you start, dispensing your thing. Now, in that way, you have removed the human element.
Will Ghanaian truck drivers or Ghanaian taxi drivers or Ghanaian passengers be willing to self-serve? That's number one. Able to do it without damaging the machine, looking at our level of education and the way we treat public property. The person standing at the fuel station is not just collecting money, he's also protecting the asset. Because the society in which we are in, you can just not be sure. So I agree with you that in some areas it's possible to do this at certain times. But looking at the level of fraud in the country, the level of dishonesty, I think that you will be a very brave girl's filling station owner to build a girl at Ajiringano and then say, Charlie, come and self-serve, where there are fraud boys who come and do all kinds of things to manipulate the machine. But hold that thought. What I wanted to ask the listeners was, for those of them who run businesses, I really am interested in whether you've been able to use technology to stop yourself from being from theft,
pilfering,
like the story we heard this morning, how employees connived and conspired to steal from their employer. How can we use technology to stop that? Is it possible? So that's the first point. Now, the second point you make, which are very important, you're saying technology may not be able to prevent in the front end the act of fraud, but eventually because of because again, if somebody comes to your office with a brown envelope and there's no camera, there's no record that he gave you the money unless he takes a phone. But if he sends you the money by Momo or sends it to your bank account, so if somebody's been transferring money illegally into your account every week, he sends some amount. They can decide that maybe that guy is a criminal, and then when they say, how come only Sky has been getting the guy's money? So they can say you are doing money laundering. So technology helps on the back end. A lot of the problems with us is that people are stealing things literally on the front end. Yeah. They are stealing your Tiro, they are stealing your milk powder, they are stealing things and they are selling.
Yesterday they do somebody's kinky.
A few days ago.
So if you're listening, let's know how you use technology to deal with pilfering in your organization. I'm really interested to know this as issue 1. Issue number 2, this Hajia for Real story appears to have generated a lot of interest, not just in social but traditional media. And apparently she's been in this system for a while. I was under the wrong impression that it's like a new emerging social media. But if I talk a lot, people will say Aloski again doesn't know anything. So I didn't want to say much. So I just pretended I know everything about it. you get my point. So let's start with the journalistic side. Why is this such a big story? Because it's on front page of major newspapers, and I think she's trending pretty seriously.
Yes.
Not to preempt Nathan. Why is it such a...
Then let Nathan start from this. He will go from 8.
You have 7 minutes, don't worry. I just want to know why is it such a big story?
Well, she's been big news for about a decade now in Ghana. Very
big news for a decade.
Yes.
For those interested.
Not for those interested. I don't think for those interested. I think that
okay, listeners, when was the first time you heard of Bad Hajia for real? Let's be honest. When was the first time you heard of her? If was it for 10 years?
You'll be surprised.
10 years?
Because of the people she's been linked with.
Okay.
Most of the people she's been with.
Okay.
And most of this is public knowledge. She used to be with Kampong.
Oh, so in the sports sphere...
He's a very big name. And it wasn't like they were hiding. You understand? So... so she's a very public-facing personality.
Okay.
Then... she's built on that to, branch out into other endeavors.
All right.
And with the growth of social media came that immense growth in her personality as well. If you check her IG account, she has 4 million followers.
Was she made by social media?
No, she wasn't made by
she was already known.
She came in before the era of... She was IG. Popular. She was popular traditional media-wise, word of mouth-wise.
Before TikTok.
Unless you were not conscious of popular culture, you would know, everybody knew who Hajia for real was.
Okay.
You understand? So she's grown from there to being an independent player by herself.
How many followers on social media?
4 million. On her IG account, that's 4.3.
4.3 million.
Yes.
That is massive.
Yes.
How many people does Shatawale have?
I have not checked. We could.
That's
but she has 4.3 is a lot.
That's bigger than many countries in the world.
By any standard.
If they are real human beings.
But yeah.
So she's known.
She's known. Very well known. And that's also because of the lifestyle that she portrays. Very well-to-do person. You see her in the latest clothes. Attends the biggest parties. Attends the most high-profile events. Organizes some of the most high-profile events where you see everybody who is anybody in Ghana attend.
Does she have a fashion brand? Is she into music?
Yes, she recently strayed into the music field. Did a song with Shatawale.
Yeah, has a song with Stoneboy.
Has a song with Stoneboy as well.
I like the word strayed.
Yes, she's recently
strayed into music.
Yes, she's strayed into music.
So what's her core business?
We don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You just told me that she's been known for the past 10 years.
Yes, but
you guys want to ask me? I don't know.
So how come she's getting all the coverage she gets?
Because she's been a very public-facing personality for a very long time.
So what does she do for a living?
She's an influencer. Let me put it that way. She's an influencer. For instance,
for the 10 years or more recently?
More recently, since the growth of social media and people finding ways to monetize social media, she's been at the forefront.
She's become an influencer.
Yes, of monetizing social media, particularly with her IG account.
So what is happening with her and the US authorities?
Well, Sky is the lawyer. He can read what is happening.
So what are they saying is happening there, Sky?
So basically, she's facing what simply is known as charges for romance scam.
charges for romance scam.
Yeah. When we say romance scam,
is that something in our laws or this is American law?
Yeah, this is the UK, US jurisdiction. She was first arrested in the UK and then extradited to the US to face the charges that have been brought against her. So romance scam basically is a new form of scam that has become so popular. I mean, in the olden days, it was there people using their relationship with other people to dupe them. But the rise of social media has ensured that it is now a big deal and people are using it massively. In fact, even the days when we're doing pen pals and pen pals, you remember in school those days, you discover some, white girl or some white man somewhere in the US and you start exchanging letters and then all kinds of claims are made. Oh, my mother is sick and all of that. So the man should support or the woman should support. So, but now because of social media, it's become a real big deal. So what is she accused of doing? We are told that she used allegedly herself and working with other people, basically within West Africa, to lure unsuspecting victims in the US, people well over 50 years, who are in search of love.
Single men.
Exactly, who are
and
in
women.
Allegedly, who are in search of love. She used herself to lure them to wire all kinds of money to her.
So she went to the UK and then she was extradited to the US.
So she was arrested on a plane reportedly in the UK.
It means they had been looking for her.
Yes, they've been tracking her for a long time.
Probably didn't know.
That's what happens. And they have used also, Haspapi, the methods that they used to catch Haspapi. Yeah, a similar method was the Nigerian guy who was all over the world, particularly in Dubai and doing all kinds of things. They've been monitoring her social media handle, according to the information we picked up, for some time now, trying to match her income against
status.
That's right, the lifestyle, because we're told she has a fashion line or something like that, and then also she's a musician. Now, if you put the two together, the question is, how much is she, a Ghanaian fashion brand or perhaps a music star, how much is she likely to make ordinarily in a year? And the investigators have been doing some work in the space, and it would seem that the facts don't support the kind of lifestyle that she's been living publicly. And when
was she arrested?
This was last year in the UK.
Yes, in December.
In December. So apparently she had gone to do some time in the UK, and then she was flying back when the report suggested that she was picked up on a plane, and she's been in detention.
So now she's been sent to the US?
Yes.
Now, if you go to the 11-page indictment, that's the full details on point 3, for instance, it says, Mona Faiz Montrech, the defendant, received fraud proceeds from victims of the enterprise in bank accounts she controlled in the Bronx, New York, and elsewhere, including business bank accounts opened in the name of For Real Designs, a purported clothing company. Once Montrech received fraud proceeds in bank accounts under her control, she withdrew, transported, and laundered those fraud proceeds to other members of the enterprise.
Oh, so the other members of the syndicate who are also going to be caught?
Yes.
And then it goes on to talk about statutory allegations. And let me just read that. It says on point 4, for instance, it says from at least in or about 2013.
That's 10 years ago.
Up to and including at least in or about 2019.
My God.
This is legal language. In the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Mona Faiz Montrech, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly and willfully combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together with each other to commit wire fraud in violation of Title 18, United States Code
And
section.
this is New York law?
Yes.
1343.
Did I finish?
Yes. It says it was a part and an object of the conspiracy that Mona Faiz Montrech, the defendant, and others known and unknown, knowingly having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses.
So they've been tracking her for 10 years?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's how serious it is.
10 years?
Yeah.
Of
They can even track
somebody
you for 20 years.
Just looking at you. Maybe the person who started the investigation is even dead.
You know what?
But they will still continue.
You see, what people don't understand is, while you are taking the money small, you assume that, you are outwitting the system. But normally, they sit down and they are watching you, tracking you. They actually are looking for the big boy behind you. or build a solid case against you.
We'll come back to this, but it's 8:02. This is the Citi Breakfast Show. Colleagues are trying to unravel the Hadja for real arrest.
For me, there are bigger issues than just
we'll get there.
I want to get that one.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Just take your time. Okay. Take your time. It's time for tech and social media trends brought to us by Vodafone. Vodafone Cash now allows payments to all merchant numbers on other networks. Now, this used to be very frustrating. You couldn't make payments for goods and services because Vodafone Cash was simply not acceptable to merchant numbers on other networks. Well, Vodafone Cash users now can relax and make payments to merchants by simply dialing *110#, select option 1, which is send money, option 2, which is other networks, and follow the prompts to send money. Experience the ease of transacting on Vodafone Cash by dialing *110# to start the process. Also brought to you by FBN Bank You First. In celebration of motherhood, FBN Bank invite you, female entrepreneurs and professionals, to sign up for the First Gem account designed for women aged 18 years and above. Do you prefer a personal savings or current First Gem account, or you look to open a First Gem entrepreneur account? Either way, we've got you covered. Enjoy the many attractive and exciting benefits when you open the FBN Bank First Gem account. Call 059 69 21 921 or visit FBN branch, or go to our website fbnbankghana.com. All right, so we know that Hadja for real is trending. What else is trending, Nathan?
Hash Puppy is trending. Hash Puppy.
They brought him into the equation.
Yeah, they've rolled Hash Puppy into the equation. So people are talking about that as well. Hilda Bassey is also trending after smashing the record for the most time spent cooking. She's in the trends as we speak. In terms of sports, Arteta is trending. Rudiger is trending.
Arteta trending 3 days after their match.
Look, people are still talking about Arsenal's loss to Brighton and the fact that almost put paid to their Premier League, ambitions and all of that. Other trends, Pizza Man, and other things. Fire Stick is also trending. Now there's also another very popular personality online called Fire Stick. He likes to talk about fashion, trainers and things. And
he's another social media influencer.
Yes, another.
Since today we are dealing social
what's
media.
What's
he called? Fire Stick.
Fire Stick. He's in the UK. He's in London, and he talks about trainers and clothing. And people are also going at him. Anyway, to some tech news. We've been talking about AI and all of that. Now in Italy, the Italian government has earmarked 30 million euros to improve the skills of unemployed people, as well as those whose jobs could be most at risk from the advance of automation and artificial intelligence.
Thank you.
Now, according to the Fondo per la Repubblica Digitale, FRD, set up in 2021 by the Rome government to boost the digital skills of Italians, 54% of those aged between 16 and 74 lack basic digital skills, compared with an average of 46% in the EU. Now, the funding in improving training will be allocated in 2 ways, and of the total, 10 million euros will go to boosting the skills of those whose jobs are at high risk of being replaced due to automation and tech innovation, and the other 20 million euros will be allocated to help unemployed and economically inactive people develop digital skills that will improve their chances of entering the job market. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
That was taking social media trends.
One day, an old lady inherited a huge sum of money. Her family worried about how to break the good news to her. They feared that the sudden good news might give her a heart attack. And so they decided the family doctor who was experienced in delivering such news should be the one to tell her. And when he did, surprisingly, she just smiled. Relieved, he asked, "What are you going to do with all that money?" She replied, "I'm going to give you half." The doctor had a heart attack. People are often surprised when we put them first. At FBN Bank, that's what we do. We put you first. Open an account with us today and enjoy mobile banking, USSD banking, shop and pay with our prepaid Visa cards, MasterCard, and many other services designed with you in mind. FBN Bank, you first.
Make I tell you, you go lose your Vodafone number permanently if you no go complete your SIM card re-registration. National Communications Authority, they disconnect all numbers where they no register by 31st May. This means say your own number go make yawa. If you want re-register your Vodafone SIM card, make you just dial *404#. Then follow the prompt, make you complete the phase 1 of the process. Again, you go fit go any Vodafone retail center or any agent, then complete the re-registration process. I say you go plus your Ghana card and your GPS code. No be so stress. Make you re-register now for free 4 GB data plus 100 minutes talk time. In case you didn't hear more info, send SMS to 655 on Vodafone.
Vodafone, further together. Join the conversation on the Citi Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag CitiCBS.
This Mother's Day, don't forget to express your love and gratitude towards your mom. And what better way than with a phone from Samsung? Yes, Samsung is giving discounts on selected Galaxy A devices. Visit any Samsung shop between 8th and 20th May and get a Samsung Galaxy A14 128GB for 1,799 cedis, discounted from 1,999 cedis. A Samsung Galaxy A04e 128GB for a cool 1,349 cedis. The Samsung Galaxy A03 Core is going for 899 cedis, discounted from 1,029 cedis. Enjoy awesome discounts on 64GB and 32GB memory sizes within these range of devices. Treat mom like never before with a gift from Samsung to show how much it means to you. Terms and conditions apply.
Shit, wahala no get breaks so. What is it? Some customers have left. Their mobile money payment didn't come.
What? Avoid such payment issues with BluePay. BluePay lets you easily receive payments on your mobile device with no e-levy charges. Simply enter your customer's number and the amount to be paid on your BluePay app. The customer will receive the BluePay prompt to confirm with their PIN instantly. Customers can also pay with bank cards using the BluePay POS device. Call or WhatsApp 054-7220-200 or visit bluepay.com.gh to register and get BluePay for your business today. BluePay, never miss a sale.
It's time for ShopRite's Big Low Price Carnival. Get ready for affordable offers on show-stopping deals for families of every size. Like 1.3 kilogram Sadia whole frozen chicken for only 49 cedis, 99 pesos worth, and 450 grams Lily spaghetti for a low 8 cedis, 99 pesos worth. Don't miss out on these unbelievable deals and more. Valid until 28th May. Only at ShopRite. Lower prices you can trust always.
There's a queen in every woman, an embodiment of sophistication and strength, overflowing with color, light, and love. Every woman is a queen, and with GTP's all-new Ohima collection, you get in touch with your inner royalty. Crown your style. New Ohima collection from GTP, now available at any of our accredited dealers nationwide or any Woodin shop. GTP. Life styled.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation. The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Minutes past 8, Citi Breakfast Show. A few quick announcements trying to deconstruct a big story. A Ghanaian social media influencer has been nabbed in the US on many counts of what's the term you use?
Romance scam.
A romance scam.
Yes.
A romance scam. We're told it's a big story.
Yeah.
And this
it made almost all the major newspapers in the US yesterday.
As well, so not just the Ghana.
No. The reason is that between 2017 and now, worldwide, several billions of US dollars lost.
In that
exactly.
Yes.
I can give you the express numbers.
Wow.
Because of romance scam. And the point is that people are so shy, they don't want to speak about it.
As in victims?
Yeah, the victims. So, you are looking for love. You go online hoping to get love there. Someone finds you and says, look, Charlie, I like you like that. Let's do it. And then as a result of your search for love and falling in love online, you are manipulated into emptying your bank account and sending that money all the way to Africa or somewhere in the Gulf. And, because you have become penniless or because of your stature in society, you are unable to talk about it.
I see. We will come back to that.
All right, a few announcements. Pepsodent says every time we eat, food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. That's why you need Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, fortified with profluoride and microcalcium ingredients, sealing tiny and invisible holes in your teeth. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, maximum cavity protection, 10 times stronger teeth, 25 years of educating to brush day and night. Pepsodent, every smile matters. Your car needs Shell Helix and it will work well. Give it Shell Helix lubricants more in Koswo Hene. So whether you're on the open road or battling with traffic, Shell Helix engine oil will keep your engine running smoothly. Visit your local Shell station today and experience the difference for yourself. Now, NIPS is calling people to come and sign up for their doctorate program in business admin and leadership. NIPS is the Noble International Business School, and they will turn you into a practitioner scholar, and you can merge theory and practice for evidence-based decision-making and leadership. Get in touch with NIPS on 0266822310, and the person you speak to is Isaac, or you can visit nips.edu.gh. In life, you always have to insist on the best, and when you find it, stick to it. Bell Pack paper tissue is one of the best things in life. Bell Pack has cereals that are soft but not weak, strong but not hard. They are just perfect. To be a distributor of Bell Pack, call 0551 144 400. Bell Pack is another quality product from Bellacqua.
So Richard has put up a write-up. I'm not sure if maybe reading it will summarize for us what the situation is. Then we can get into the implications. So with your permission. Yeah. So this is more than Chat GPT. Hajia's arrest, unveiling the dark underbelly of deception in romance scams. It's quite long, but I'll try and run through it. So this will give you a complete understanding of what is going on. Then we can look at what the implications are, and then we can link it to other things. Because again, just in the Chronicle today, 3 stories on man 20 gets 300,000 for stealing bail. Called grand shop attendant 80,000 cedi bill. People are stealing construction material, they are stealing goods. Just a bazaar. But this is a deeper level, and it's not been proven yet, but it's a big case. So Ghanaian social media sensation Mona Faiz Montrage, better known as Hajia for real on Instagram, now finds herself at the center of a transcontinental legal battle. Extradited from the United Kingdom to the United States, she stands accused of orchestrating a high-stakes romance scam that allegedly targeted vulnerable elderly Americans aged between 2013 and 2019. Allegedly collaborating with a network of West African fraudsters, Montrage is accused of expertly assuming false identities and weaving intricate tales of love to ensnare unsuspecting victims in her web of deceit. Utilizing a myriad of digital tools, including emails, text messages, and social media platforms, Montrage is alleged to have skillfully manipulated her victims, exploiting their emotions to coax them into transferring funds under false pretexts. Judicial records reveal that the staggering extent of her alleged illicit gains, amounting to a remarkable $2 million. It's been alleged that through intricate money laundering techniques, the funds were surreptitiously funneled into clandestine bank accounts, perpetuating the cycle of deception. The litany of charges leveled against Montrage encompass wire fraud, money laundering, receipt of stolen funds, and conspiracy, carrying the grave potential for a maximum prison sentence of 20 years if she's convicted. As she made a dramatic appearance in court on Monday, Montrage pleaded not guilty, with her legal counsel arguing that only a fraction of the alleged victims had reported interactions with a woman, and even fewer claimed direct contact with Montrage herself. Pending further proceedings, Montrage's release on stringent terms await final determination. Should she be granted provisional liberty, her movements will be confined to her aunt's residence in New Jersey, subject to strict home detention, a $500,000 bail bond coupled with GPS tracking through an ankle monitor will serve as additional safeguards. As the legal process unfolds, questions of the extent of Montrage's alleged involvement and the impact on her alleged victims continue to loom large. While her defense seeks to challenge the accusations and provide alternative perspectives, the case underscores the pervasive threat of romance scams and the dark consequences they inflict upon unsuspecting individuals. To be clear, Montrage has not, capital not, been found guilty by any court of committing romance scams. She's only been charged which charges she has denied, pleading not guilty in court. It is for the prosecution to prove every element of its criminal case against her beyond reasonable doubt. As the law demands, an accused person is innocent until proven guilty. The questions, however, is what are romance scams? So then guy then goes into a long Charlie Uday form. So romance scams, unmasking the web of deception, the intricacies of romance scams, and the pursuit of illusory love. Romance scams orchestrated by cunning individuals with malicious intent have swiftly risen to prominence as a prevalent and deceptive scheme, exploiting unsuspecting victims while amassing substantial wealth. Operating within the ethereal confines of online dating platforms, social media channels, and electronic correspondence, these insidious ploys ensnare the unwary in a labyrinthine web of deceit. Why? Deceptive tactics and exploitation in romance scams. Within this realm of cunning deception, these scams entice victims with the tantalizing allure of love and affection, perpetrated by shrewd fraudsters who assume false digital identities. Their ostensible motivation appears to be ardent quest for genuine romantic connections. With calculated finesse, these swindlers deftly manipulate the trust of their victims, skillfully preying upon vulnerabilities and capitalizing on innate susceptibility to deceit. Charlie, why do you write big English like this? Impact and extent of romance scams. Once trust is established, the true intentions of these scammers come to light. An unrelenting pursuit of financial gain fixated upon the victim's precious resources, employing beguiling narratives of fabricated medical emergencies, impassioned pleas for financial assistance to facilitate in-person encounters, or elaborate tales of personal financial hardship. These schemers craft their stories with meticulous precision, tugging at the heartstrings of unsuspecting prey, coercing them into relinquishing their hard-earned fortunes. Were you a poet at some point? The scale of romance scams has reached staggering proportions during the turbulent COVID-19 pandemic, with a torrent of online daters losing substantial sums of money in their desperate quest for love. In the year 2021 alone, a jaw-dropping $546 million was reported lost to romance scams in the United States, an alarming 80% increase from the previous year. Yet these figures represent only a fraction of the true extent of the harm inflicted, as many victims remain silent from their losses, their suffering hidden from public view. Loneliness as a facilitator of romance scams. The impact of these scams extends far beyond financial devastation, piercing the very core of emotional well-being. The revelation of betrayal leaves victims grappling with profound despair, scarred by wounds that may prove arduous to heal. In the United Kingdom, where these frauds also flourish, the average age of romance fraud victims stands at 50, with women bearing the brunt of financial losses surpassing their male counterparts. Thriving in the shroud of anonymity, these deceptive masquerades are often orchestrated by fraudsters operating from distant shores beyond the reach of legal ramifications. Their audacious schemes render the pursuit of justice a futile endeavor, leaving victims with their hopes of reclaiming losses dashed upon the jagged rocks of despair. Hey! Navigating the digital landscape with caution. The escalating complexity and widespread prevalence of romance scams demand heightened caution and unwavering vigilance when navigating the treacherous terrain of online relationships. Acquiring astute awareness of subtle signs indicative of such scams and diligently safeguarding personal and financial information act as vital bulwarks against the perilous snares. So let's come to an end. Safety tips and vigilance against romantic scams. To safeguard oneself, it's imperative to exercise prudence and refrain from sending money to individuals one has never met in person. Caution should also be exercised when sharing personal information, as unscrupulous scammers may exploit such details for manipulation or coercion. Maintaining a healthy dose of skepticism towards financial requests from online acquaintances is paramount. Collective efforts to combat romance scams. The battle against romance scams necessitates a united front, a harmonious blend of individual vigilance, public awareness, and robust support networks. By shining a resolute light upon the intricate webs of deception, we empower ourselves and others to navigate the digital landscape of love with caution, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to protecting our collective well-being. This guy is too much. Charlie, addressing the loneliness epidemic, recovery and support, conclusion. Okay, let me finish just 3 paragraphs. So there's apparently a loneliness epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
Loneliness, an enduring societal affliction has further facilitated the success of these financial predators. Studies illuminate the prevalent correlation between loneliness and susceptibility to scams, as scammers astutely provide psychological validation and gratification that individuals crave. The COVID-19 pandemic has merely exacerbated the epidemic of loneliness, with reports of its effects skyrocketing among young adults. The dearth of genuine care and the pervasive virtual landscape of modern dating provide a fertile breeding ground for these unscrupulous opportunists. Recovery and support. In traversing the treacherous realm of digital relationships, caution must be our steadfast companion. Heightened awareness, support networks, and proactive efforts to combat loneliness are crucial components in our collective battle against romance scams. While law enforcement agencies can provide investigations and recovery support, the recovery of lost funds often proves to be an arduous challenge. Conclusion: by adhering to these invaluable online safety tips, individuals can fortify their defenses against the cunning tactics employed by romance scammers. Together, we can wage war against these deceitful menace, empowering individuals to forge genuine connections while preserving both their hearts and their finances. As we unravel the layers of this deceptive web, Charlie, you like metaphor. Let us strive to create a safer and more trustworthy online environment where the pursuit of love is not tarnished by the illusions spun by those seeking to prey upon their vulnerability. Through collective efforts, awareness, and resilience, we can expose the true face of romance scams and protect ourselves and others from their web of deception. Richard, the last guy. Hey! When did you write this?
I wrote this last night.
So as you were thinking about the case, you
so it was one of the...
No, wait, but you there for more. No. Let's hey! How you sort of explain the Hajia arrest and what it means. Caution us about not judging her before the case is finished. Mm-hmm. And then doing a general explanation of the romance scam with poetic flair.
Yeah, so here's how it started. Yesterday...
Did you do literature?
No.
How did you learn to write?
Well, that's your news.
Before we come to, for a language purist like you, I mean, it's a bit difficult to read. It's a lot. I have to appreciate you see, to be able to get the words to describe what you want to say, it's a gift, because I'm tired reading it, but you still wrote it.
Yeah, you see, sometimes because of how I sometimes use language to exclude for a good reason.
Yeah, but that's some way.
Sometimes you don't want to.
Look at this. Alleged that through intricate money laundering techniques, the funds were surreptitiously funneled into clandestine bank accounts, perpetuating the cycle of deception. Hey, Charlie, why?
Well, Fred, that's what they have been alleged.
No. No. Hey. Charlie. Were you in the writers' club or something?
No, I wasn't. I just took to writing.
Let me read one last one. Romance scams orchestrated by cunning individuals with malicious intent have swiftly risen to prominence as a prevalent and deceptive scheme, exploiting unsuspecting victims while amassing substantial wealth, operating within the ethereal confines of online dating platforms, social media, social channels, and electronic correspondence. This insidious ploy.
Is it the reason? So yesterday, I hadn't seen the story until Samen sent me
the link,
the article from New York Times.
Charlie?
And he was making inquiries about how it was safe to publish it without invoking, Hajia's right to want to sue. So I looked at the article.
And then you produced this?
No, so I first looked at the article and I said that, okay, yes, there is a way we can report it without finding ourselves in trouble.
So this is how, was this AI assisted?
No.
This one is Richie Sky Adafio.
Yeah, that's right. And then proofread by Grammarly and all of that. So the point I'm making is that,
Charlie.
So I remember that in our course back in the UK, fraud and economic crime class, one of the biggest issues we're looking at was this whole issue of romance scam, Bernard.
So you already thought about it.
Yeah, because it's a huge economy out there, Bernard. You do not appreciate how big it is. It is in billions.
$576 million in US alone.
Alone.
All right. Now, since you've already explained the romance scam part in the article, I wanted to come to the other part with this guy in terms of the. So you feel like this is not okay. So a couple of things. It took the US and the UK authorities to unravel this.
Yes.
But this person has been living here for 10 years.
Her whole life.
And has been.
She was born here.
But we also have anti-fraud units.
Yes. We have YOCO, we have the Financial Intelligence Center, we have Cybercrime Unit of the Ghana Police Service.
So are you worried that he had to take the US, or is it because the people were victims from there?
Yes.
Should that not be? Shouldn't our police be asking how come this person has lived here comfortably for 10 years?
Yeah, for me,
and has allegedly received $2 million.
No, it's not for me. It's not even just about her, you know, but difficulty as a society in asking people where did you make your money and how did you make your money. As a society, we seem to think that anybody who asks that question is envious of, you know, so why are you asking such a question? And it has deepened so much that even our police service and the other investigative units, I think, also operates with that mentality. You know, there was a day you and I were having this conversation and I was telling you that if, like, street chat, this is not academic or anything. If I worked at the FIC, I would just sit on Ghana Instagram
and just be watching
and
the
just
people
watch
and
and
decide
ask questions
who to trace
and decide who to watch. You understand? Because a lot of the names we mentioned, a lot of the people who come up with these things flaunt what they have on Instagram. They attend parties. So it will be a good place to start from. You see, because what we have done is we've created a society of high net worth individuals whose high net worth does not actually reflect in the economy. We have a lot of really rich people in this country whose net worth does not reflect the size of this economy, if you understand what I'm saying. So you have somebody who, if you put their collection of cars together, would own a $1.5 million car collection in Ghana. But that person's economic value in terms of the person's contribution to tax, to whatever, doesn't match up. And we have a lot of those in this country, but nobody is interested in asking. So because of, I don't want to call it colonial, but there's a very significant fear of the big man. And so everybody wants to be a big man. And also because of the significant periods of underdevelopment that we've undergone, it is about who makes it out. So far as the person has made it out of poverty, it is very difficult to ask the question, how did you live? You understand? So we've created all these persons around us that other countries watch.
So once the person becomes wealthy, it's fine.
It's fine.
So long as they have the money.
So far as they have the money and how they reinvest it or whatnot. And I'm just saying that we over the past 4 or 5 years or the past decade, we've seen Ghana become that place where a lot of rich people like to come to. They come to relax, they come to acquire property, they come to do all these things. So you ask yourself, for instance, why do we have a lot of these buildings that are coming up, a lot of these estates, but they're empty? Nobody can afford them.
They are moving at neck break.
They build them at speed.
Yeah.
I've always asked myself, and I know this, it is one of the significant difficulties they have with pushing the property tax bill.
Yeah.
Because in pushing that, you would then know who lives here, who owns this, who does that. That if there is an alignment of agencies, if GRA is chasing you for this, they are saying, okay, if an assembly is chasing you for their property tax, they come here, okay, this house is worth $750,000. You are paying X. They obviously talk to financial intelligence agency and say, oh, well, I was at this house.
There's this house is $750,000.
$750,000. Have you checked what the person does to be able to afford that house? That is how the cycle works. I recall an interesting story that I followed back in the day where a stockbroker posted a photo on Instagram. And the Financial Intelligence Center of the UK, the Financial Crimes Office, at the time, somebody spotted the photo.
Just on Instagram?
Yes, and took note of a portrait that was behind the person in the home. And did a check, random check, and did a photo match and realized that
this is like
a stockbroker who earns ABCD
cannot afford.
If this is an original, that person should not be able to afford it.
Wow.
So that is what started out an investigation that led to the discovery that this person was apparently the money launderer of half of London drugs.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
That's
A
cursory look at
well, the person was just checking. Photo, Instagram. You understand? So there are other uses for this, and I'm just saying that we need to get to that point where our agencies, and I drag this all the way back to even my questions and queries about Galamsey and following the money. And then somehow
it's a basic rule of not just journalism, but in many things. Follow the money, because that's where you see the source point.
If you read the 11-page indictment, it's an 11-page document that is follow the money. Even on the allegations, on the charge sheets.
Wow.
You understand? It's simply following money from A to B since the year 2013 to 2019.
They've been following the money for 10 years.
They've been trying to follow the money. So I always ask the question, why is there such a big difficulty in Ghana in following the money?
Maybe because they are afraid that when they follow the money, to hit a big man who sorts them out.
Which is the
so
problem.
They are afraid to follow the money.
Which is the problem that we have.
They'll be indicted in the following.
So inevitably we ask ourselves, who has genuine money? You understand? Because even here, Bernard, to a certain extent, there are days that you ask certain things unconsciously that you are not aware of. You see somebody coming in and you're like, hey, but how come you are doing this? Because you know how much you pay the person.
Yeah. So when you start doing
certain things, he starts checking.
It's a high side hustle.
Yes. So you realize that while we're there, you always end up trying to find out what people are doing.
It's very important.
You understand what people are doing outside of this.
Yeah, it's important to know.
Yeah. If you can explain the side hustle, that's fine.
So are you saying that looking at the way social media, Instagram and things portray the lifestyles of these people, our FIC and the equivalent should be a lot more proactive and should be investigating a lot more people than they are doing?
Significantly, Bernard. You see, because what social media has done is it has allowed these high net worth individuals to mix with legitimate society.
Oh, so they're legitimizing.
It has been legitimized. That's what I'm saying. That so, for instance, the suspect in this matter has long been considered a legitimate part of popular culture in this country, and by virtue of her access to wealth. Okay, but the point I'm making is there should not be a reason why, if tomorrow I go for Kutubuafo, show up to work in a Ferrari. And I put it on Instagram. The Financial Intelligence Center should not be able to say, but you work at Citi FM. That is what you know you do.
How come
did you win the lottery?
Okay,
you ask me, Godfrey, did you win the lottery last week? You understand? But it is almost.
But don't take a picture next to the lottery and say, "Charlie, testimony." That the God of Godfrey is my God.
God.
So now you are saying that what he can do in Godfrey, he can do for me.
You understand? So we need to not make people who ask these questions feel like, hey, you are envious.
People.
No, it is the right thing to. That is what right-thinking societies do. We are not saying that is not, people will not get away with these things. But what you are trying to do is to make sure that money is responsible and money flows around. Because you see, we want rich people. Every country wants rich people. But the thing is this, if you have the right kind of rich people, that wealth, it multiplies in the country properly. But for us, like I'm saying, we have a lot of rich people whose money we don't actually see in the system.
Do our police have what it takes to trace these people from the social? So because some are on the dark web, they call it, and some are on regular social media, and then some translate into houses they buy and cars and things. Do they have the system?
Bernard, my name is Godfrey Akutubuafo. I'm not the police service. I sit on Instagram every day. I see the people.
Instagram and Snapchat.
Ghana Police Service, Financial Intelligence Center, you could not have access to Instagram. You can pick up, the sophistication comes beyond that in tracking. I don't have the specialty
but
for
it's
that.
A great
but
place
I'm
to
saying
start.
Picking up clues in understanding how Richard Sky, lawyer, then he's beside two houses at Trasako. Praise be to the Lord. A. Praise be to the Lord. B. Me, I sit at Ioko, Financial Intelligence Center.
He will get some big pastor to come and he will get a big pastor friend to come and bless it.
Yes, but whilst it is being blessed,
he becomes that pastor's boy.
The authorities should show an interest. All I'm saying is there is no way Richard Sky in the UK acquires those two houses and nobody asks him a question.
What I'm driving at is the professionalism of the institutions and the ability to investigate things without fear or favor. Because
Yes.
you made a point about a society of big men.
Big men, yeah.
Where in Ghana, I mean, haven't you heard people say, Frimpong Boateng, I'm trying to do something, I get calls. So that seems to be it's almost like this unsaid thing about Ghana, where whether they are chiefs, whether they are pastors, whether they are politicians, somehow a lot of these people who have illegally acquired money legitimize it by either
going to church, making donations,
building church projects, going to secondary schools to do things, the hospital donations, or they are in some, I don't know, they join politics. Some even want to go to parliament.
Yes.
Okay, so there are many ways. So, and I think like even the political parties in the way they do their vetting, it's not every time that when people are choked, it is vindictiveness and it is like, it's like, and I tell people that sometimes people send me things as a journalist and I send it to the appropriate authorities. So I'll give you an example. Some people send me some things about some aspirants. I said, look.
Yeah, last week we had this chat.
It's an election. So because I'm a journalist, I will send it to the general secretary or the chairman and say,
investigate it.
You people say you are vetting. Some people say this person has done this. It's not everything I can come and say on air because I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But since you guys are going to have a committee to vet the people, use the information to do what you have to do because you are sitting at the top of the party. And you see, it's in the party's own interest to also prevent fraudsters from entering parliament. Because if they enter parliament, eventually they'll be found out. You see, so I think it's a societal thing. It's not just a media thing where we have built a system where the seemingly powerful media, preachers, police, they rather protect or legitimize people who ought to be exposed. Do you get it? And it's now a certain method. So I am happy with what you're saying. But the issue about the economy was what I was thinking you should explain. You are saying that we have a lot of houses rising up, but we don't see it in the economy. Isn't construction one of the most multiplying? So, for example, you say, if you want to give people work, if you're building a high-rise building, you employ a lot of people and they'll get money.
Yeah, but if you are building a house, right, you want people to live in it. You make rent.
Yes.
How have you seen the number of empty high rises that are in this country? The number of empty estates that are in this country?
Where did I go yesterday?
People cannot afford them.
Yesterday I was driving somewhere. Where was I yesterday? Every 2 houses they had put for sale or for rent.
Yeah.
Where did I go? Where did I go yesterday? I forget my. I think I was somewhere. I don't know. It's East Legon Joel or somewhere. But like every 2 houses, new house. Where was I? I forget.
Somewhere. But you could see
there was almost every 2 houses you have for rent, for sale,
something.
Meanwhile, there's an accommodation crisis. So I get you. So it seems as if number one, people use the internet to perpetrate crime, and then when they get the money, they legitimize the money. 2 levels. They legitimize the money socially because they flaunt it on social media and then they go to parties and then they start some businesses or stuff.
Knowing that this is a country that accepts that.
Yes.
If this were a country that...
Once you've made it, you've made it.
Because, for instance, if they lived in the UK or the US or any other country, they would watch these things because they know that in those places, once you start showing a certain kind of wealth, people will ask you questions. So they'll take a photo with a Lamborghini in France or a photo with a Lamborghini in the UK or the US, but you check its list. They don't own it. You understand? Because as soon as you say you post that photos, trust me, somebody is double checking whether you actually bought it from that dealership.
His Majesty's revenue.
They need their money.
Come. So I was just making a point for Sky to come in. So I'm saying that the ways of you've explained the way the money is illegally gotten, but you're also talking about
my issue has
2 ways in which it's legitimized.
Yes, and
the social
lack of,
and then the buildings.
Yes, and then my bigger problem is the lack of activity from officialdom on these things.
But if they are doing it, would they tell you? I'm sure that's what they'll be saying.
But if
we are doing it, will you tell you?
But if they are doing it the way we know and suspect things, they should also know and suspect things.
No, what if they are doing it by not announcing it?
No, better then they are
so they should announce it. So if you're saying like if they are actively tracking these people,
yes,
any arrest or persecution should be publicized.
Bernard, let me tell you something. Factually, research proven, ill-gotten gains are heavily invested in 2 main things outside of real estate, right? Entertainment, sports. So either you are buying a sports team because it's capital intensive. It's an avenue where you can actually spend money because you have to buy jerseys every day. You are buying food. You are buying a bus.
So it's a quick. You can legitimize.
You can legitimize quickly, and so you always have to spend money.
So entertainment. So you can do a big concert.
If you go to Nigeria, it is an accepted fact that 80% of the biggest artists that have come out of Nigeria in the past 5 years were sponsored by Yahoo Money.
Oh, so they use that money to do a big concert with a celebrated star.
Not just that.
They fund people's musical careers.
You are a burgeoning artist. But
You've got the talent. You don't have the money.
I have the money.
I'll sponsor you.
I'll fund you to become a big star. That is where the funding has always come from. Because which record label has $100,000 lying around in Nigeria or Ghana to spend on you?
Wow.
It is an individual who has that kind of money and will spend it on you. So that is where the money goes.
So you mentioned the sports, you mentioned entertainment. What about real estate?
Yes.
Real estate is the third one.
Oh, Bernard, we've seen it.
So they put up real estate which people cannot inhabit.
Cars.
They buy cars as well.
Yeah, I'm saying. So I love cars, Bernard.
So the people manage the economy.
Seconds.
The people who manage the economy. Do you think they are worried about this?
If they were, I think that we would see less of what we do on our social media pages on Instagram. Because obviously it's very carefree. In fact, it's so carefree that there is a very obvious mix of the upper echelons of our security agencies and these individuals. They are 10 parties together. They are 10 launches together. They sit on the same boards at churches. They are basically within the same social circles. They are friends. Who's always investigating who?
So this is serious.
The only claim you need to have is the fact that last week I was broke. You didn't investigate my poverty. So don't come and investigate my wealth.
Let's come into the studio.
Somebody asked that question. Richard Delaska and Bernard Avle. I've been listening to your discussion thus far. Why are we not being investigated for being poor? Okay. Now let that sink in. That why are we not investigating people's poverty? But Bernard, you see, I appreciate the points that Godfred has made, and these are the approaches being used elsewhere. But those approaches also have their own challenges. Look, the fact that you see someone post a photograph standing by a Lamborghini does not necessarily mean that the person owns it.
Oh, but I've already admitted to that.
No, I'm not criticizing you.
I'm just saying on record.
Yeah, because
admitted to that.
I sometimes drive through neighborhoods that are posh, and you see young girls moving from various parts of the country. They come to those places just to take a photograph. There are guys who do that. There are people who go to Kempinski or whatever hotel that they go to.
They go and take pictures.
Order, what do you call it? Something small. And then they take photographs and all of that. And then they have websites or their Facebook pages or social media handles are beaming with all kinds of things. So there is that.
Okay.
But there's also the position of the law as to at what point the authorities can properly intrude into that which you do and start raising questions.
I will let you discuss that. I wanted to do a quick detour, which I think is related.
Okay.
What's the relationship? So Godfrey talks about legitimization of these things. A lot of these people, or some of these people, use their access to wealth to also push their social media platforms. So they become social media influencers. Now, what I want to do this morning is just do a quick interview with the researchers who did the study I read about. So,
the English language one?
Yes. So there's a story that we read on citynewsroom.com where a team of researchers led by Ramos Asafwe J have found that social media use is negatively impacting the performance of Ghanaian students. They did a study in Fiaseman Senior High School, and the research team was comprised of Ramos, Ronaldo Semensa, Ernest Kwesiklu, and Enoch Swansea Imprim. So what I wanted to do was to just dig a bit deeper into the study, what they were trying to find and what they found. And I feel like parents need to
listen to this
because we will do a separate show on the social media platforms that students are exposed to and the effects of these social media platforms, not just on their English language, but on their mental health and on a lot of things. But I feel like this is a good entry point. So permit me, Sky, to enter this related discussion with, I think it's Dr.
Yes, he's Dr.
Ramos Asafwe J. Doc, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Bernard.
Yes, so I read a story and I was a bit alarmed that social media use in a secondary school was so prevalent that a number of the respondents to your study said they were actually addicted. And then you also found that the exposure and usage of these social media platforms by the students was adversely affecting the way they processed and wrote English. Just give me some context. What were you looking for, and why did you do this study?
Okay, thank you very much, Bernard. Actually, as lecturers or scholars in the area of language, we decided to conduct this investigation. Normally, you do research based on some observations that you make around. So we decided to go into that. And then, most importantly, if you look at the school that this study was conducted, and that is Fiaseman Secondary School, you realize that their performance is actually in the WASI has not been very good. For instance, in 2016, out of 427 students who start for the WASI, none was able to make a grade of A1. And it will, interest you to note that out of that 427 students who start for the examination, about 254 had poor grades in that is D7, E8, and then F9. So this alarming statistic caused us to want to, do further investigation at that, site. And it's interesting that, so we decided to look at two critical, areas and then see how it goes. So we sought to identify the social media platforms that the students happen to be exposed to, obviously because we felt that social media could have an influence on some of these negative, statistics that, I'm talking about now. And apart from that, we wanted to find out how the students' level of addictiveness to social media was and how it reflects on their English language writing performances. So our focus was actually on their writing, obviously because, you see, in the WASI, you know that students who fail have problems. If the student fails only in the English language, it's obvious that the student has problems progressing to the next level. And the WASI is predominantly a written examination. We have all gone through this exam, and you know that they do some listening tests, but the thrust of the examination is writing. So these are the reasons that cause us to want to find out what actually was going on in this side, that is Fiaseman SHS, and then as you have mentioned, we found some of these negative happenings.
Yeah. Before I go into the findings, I noticed you use Kaplan and Heinlein's characterization of social media classes, which I thought was quite interesting. So you have what is called the virtual worlds, which include blogs and micro blogs like Twitter. Then you have content communities like YouTube. You have social networking services like Facebook, BB Chat. And then you have virtual second worlds like Second Life. And then you have virtual gaming worlds like the World of Warcraft and Minecraft and all that. Now, did you find that these students were into all these 6 categories of social media platforms?
Yes, their involvement in the use of social media is multifaceted, as you have mentioned. It cuts across. They don't actually have particular interest in one area or the other. It is where what interests them or where they get their joy or their elation that they actually gravitate towards. And so, as you said, before we get to the findings, you realize, or when we get there, you realize that there were a number of the social media platforms that they happen to use or know or exposed to were various. And some of these examples that we will talk about later, fit within some of these classifications that you have mentioned.
So you were trying to find what the types of social media platforms they used. So I look at the research questions where you said, what social media networks are students most exposed to? That was question 1. And what are the students' level of addiction or addictiveness to social media, and how does it reflect on the English language? So let's do question 1. When you did question 1, what were the social media platforms that these students were predominantly using? And by the way, these are secondary school students, right? In Fiaseman?
Yes.
SHS.
They are secondary school students. Ages averaging 17, 18. because they happen to be in Form 2. You see, Form 2 students, ages 18, 17. And so if you look at it for the social media platform that they are most exposed to, we looked at 4 thematic areas, or we identified 4 thematic areas out of the interactions we had with them. And the first one was we wanted to find out the awareness, actually, of social media platforms. And it's interesting that, they told us that, yes, as you add, Facebook, they knew of Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Discourse, Visa, and then, Zoom is also there, TikTok, and then, Telegram. So as you mentioned about the classification and other things, based on these that I've mentioned, you get to know that their exposure or their knowledge of social media platform was very wide. And apart from that, another area, based on that, we wanted to look at that, okay, fine, you know about these platforms, or, which ones are you signed up to? We wanted to check their participation, levels. Which ones are you signed up to? And we got the same WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. So if you check it, WhatsApp it happens to be very dominant here. Facebook follows very closely. In fact, the two appear to be dead meat. Then Twitter, Snapchat. And then others came in with the Telegram and the YouTube and the Biscuits and others. But we didn't stop there. After asking them to know the ones that they are signed up to, one could sign up to a platform without necessarily using it. So we wanted to use to identify whether they were using those platforms, whether they were visiting the platform. And it will interest you to know that averagely, most of them said that yes, they visited there. Some could not count the number of times they visited this platform that they were, exposed to. And some were able to mention that yes, for 2 days, maybe they visited there twice in a day, some every day. So the point is that on daily basis, we did not find any of the students indicating that they went a day without visiting these, social media platforms. And on the third team, we wanted to find out, fine, if you visit there, how long do you stay there? Because research has indicated that students lose valuable time or valuable learning time on social media doing things that are not pro-academic or various areas of study in school. So we wanted to find out that, okay, fine. So if you are there, what is the duration? How long do you stay there? And it will interest you, Bernard, to find out that some of them indicated that yes, they've been there for the past 2.5 years. They've been using it for the past 2.5 years. Some indicated that for the past 3 years they've been there. They've been using it. Some said 4 years they've been there, which indicate that if we are dealing with Form 2 students and they are indicating that they've been there for 3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years, they were exposed to, or they have been using this social media platform even prior to their enrollment into the secondary school.
Did you find out which devices they use to access these platforms? Because I don't know if feature phones and smartphones are allowed in our secondary schools, and a number of these platforms require those type of phones. So did you glean from the study the type of devices they used?
Okay, thank you. The researchers, the 4 of us, assumed that these normally, if you are in the secondary school and you check the demography of the institution we are talking about, that is Tiaseman SHS, which is in the Takwa municipality, you realize that the exposure to laptops actually will not be something that will be a lot. And based on the observations we made, we didn't do that scientifically, but we were very well assured that it was through these smartphones that these platforms predominantly access.
Wow, which is interesting because I'm not sure if secondary schools allow mobile phone usage within school hours. But so that's possibly a second question. But the most important question you said, which I want to address, is 2 things. You said in the report that a number of them admitted being addicted to using these platforms. what was your definition of addiction? When does usage of a social media platform become an addiction? And which percentage of your respondents confessed addiction to these platforms?
Okay. In the first place, you see, when you talk about addiction, it is something that is uncontrolled. You see, it is something that is uncontrolled. So you may decide consciously that, yes, I won't listen to, or I will not visit a social media platform or use the phone, for instance. But by impulse, if you keep using it, then it tells you that it is something that is more or less going beyond your own ability to control that particular behavior. So by that, that was explained to them. And it is based on this understanding that they indeed indicated that, and based on some of the insights I've given in respect of the time they use on social media and others, it goes to confirm that they have been regular users or participants in these social media platforms, and these indicate or confirm to me or to the rest of the researchers that indeed they were addicted, and they agreed to the fact that they were addicted. And the second question has if you could remind me.
So I'm saying that now. Let's talk about the effect on their language, which is the main content of the study. So what was the conclusion? That students who use these social media platforms, they write grammar poorly? Do they misunderstand English? Is it their spelling that is affected? How does the frequency of use of these platforms affect their written English?
Yeah, you see, the major problem with the usage of social media platforms, especially among these students, is the use of this shorthand and these informal constructions. For instance, someone spelling for the sake of convenience will go for the letter for, and the U, someone will go for the letter U, and others. So when you check what happened there, you realize that most of them unconsciously use some of these informal or non-standard constructions in their formal academic writings. You see, so in their English language, they indicated that yes, it was found that most of them use some of these non-standard, unacceptable Englishes or constructions, words and others in these writings. And what happened is that these culminated in poor results, because the teacher of the English language will entertain some of these solecisms or grammatical violations, and they will punish you. And so that is how this actually results in some of these negative results that they record. Remember, I mentioned that the English language, the WASI that they write itself, is predominantly written. So if a student is allowing some of these non-standard forms to creep into their formal academic writings or essays, then obviously there's going to be a concomitant effect on their overall performances. And probably, as we indicated initially, this could be one of the reasons that results in some of the negative results that I've talked about, for instance, the one I mentioned in the 2016 senior SHS.
Wonderful. So, Doc, finally, did you make any recommendations about the usage or access to social media by secondary school students on the basis of this study, so that you will write to whether it's the GES or to CHAS or to NAGRAT or whichever body? What are the recommendations for further action?
Yes, I was very happy when you wanted to find out the devices that they use. You see, the devices. Apart from the scientific area, you realize very well that these are the students find ways of sending some of these phones and others to school. You see, this is personal. So, if the society or the stakeholders of education know that it is difficult to stop them from bringing in these rules, then what you have to do is to find a way to turn the negative usage of these devices into positive uses. You see, because let's not get it wrong here. There are positive effects of social media use, and they are negative. So we must pay attention to maximizing the positive aspects or benefits of social media use. One example is online dictionaries. Okay, if it's only English scholars and let me say linguists and others who are actually well versed with some of these phonetic transcriptions that you find against words in the dictionary. It's not easy to read them, but based on these social media platforms and some of these apps and dictionaries, individuals can just press a button and a word can be pronounced in its standard form for the person to know without necessarily having to struggle over how to know how to pronounce the word. So one recommendation that we made is that yes, the students and the teachers must make sure that some of these positive apps are installed on these phones of the students, and then they get them to engage in some useful academic practices using some of these devices, even during classes time. You see, even during classes time, and the more they get interested in those positive ones, the more it is that they will be wanting to use it more for us to be able to reverse the negative trend. So one is that at times also, there are websites that offer free educational materials. For crying out loud, the library is virtually electronic now. The world is evolving. Physical libraries are not as solid as they don't contain enough volumes as electronic libraries do have. So one thing that can be done is that because of the myriad resources, books, articles, and a lot that are available on these apps and websites and others, why don't we find ways of getting these students signed up to some of these platforms? There is Amazon is there and co, so that they can subscribe. Institutions can subscribe. Students can be made to make downloads at particular times, read, make valuable presentations in class based on these for teachers to be able to trace that indeed the students got this information from this particular source. So that way we will be rechanneling their use of the social media, the negative use, into positive, and benefits. Apart from that too, the teachers could also help in students in selecting the appropriate social media sites that they can use. So teachers are very central to this discourse that we are having. They are very critical in this particular discourse because if a teacher, suggests that, okay, use app A, go and look for app B, it has this information, it has that information, then more or less they are being guided. Remember, these are children. This is child learning. This is pedagogy. And the child relies about 80% on what the teacher does. It's in the university or, beyond the SHS level that we deal with andragogy, where we talk about adult learning, where reliance on the lecturer is about about 15 to 20%. But if you reverse the situation, the students are mostly reliant on the teacher here. And so this is something that can be done by the teachers also. And then, this normal, I won't say normal anyway, but counseling. You counsel them, you take them through processes. How many schools take time to engage students on social media issues?
Wow.
How many?
Doc, these are important findings from a very important research we will be exploring further. Thank you for talking to us, Dr. Ramos Asafwe-J, who led a team of 4 researchers to study social media use in Fiancé Senior High School. A number of fascinating outcomes. The prevalent social media platform, Facebook, WhatsApp. And I think those were the 2 most popular social media platforms that these students used. And that suggests that they were using devices which were not basic. And a lot of them said they had used the devices for 2, 3, or 4 years. And these were from 2 people. So that means that they started using this in JSS. Yeah. And that some admitted they were addicted to using the devices. And there was a direct effect on the quality of their written English, which affect their WASSCE results. For me, with the issue of technology usage, a double-edged sword. You use it to learn. The dictionary is great. You can get good research doing. But I would say, for example, that the same way that SIMs are being registered with Ghana cards, so that we know whose SIM card is being used for what. There's no way a secondary school student should be on Facebook, because I don't think it helps their learning. A secondary school student can have access to certain search engines that are more child-friendly. So, for example, instead of using a search engine like Google, there's a search engine called DuckDuckGo, which is very, how shall I say, a safe search. It's almost like a safe search intrinsic. Okay, and there are a number of them. That's number one. Number two, if a child or 14-year-old, 13-year-old has a phone, which is a feature phone, and then this person can go on Facebook, even WhatsApp, I think is a problem, right? Because you can still benefit from the device and social media in a safe way, but because of anonymity, all right? And I think our authorities need to start coming up with stringent requirements for registration, so that if somebody is going to go on a social media platform, they need to have their real ID. Because, for example, your national ID number has your age on it. Unlike your email address. An email address is not a proof of identity. All right. So if you're saying people below 17 should not use certain social media devices, we must make entry of an ID, a valid ID number, part of the requirement. Do you get my point? Yeah. Because I'm surprised that people in a boarding school can use social media so much that they say they are addicted to it. And now that the numbers have ballooned, it means you are now having 50 teachers to 5,000 students. So they can't even supervise what the students are doing.
Is not strong.
So imagine the kinds of things they are being influenced by using those devices in school. You know, it's a big concern. I know it's not related to what we're discussing, but I mean, think about it. You are talking about people who are being accused of romantic scams. Our students could be victims. You're talking about people who use their popularity on social media to become influencers. They can influence our young people to do the wrong thing. So the access we give our young people to social media is a big conversation. Maybe we can do a discussion there. But let's come back to the matter at hand and read a few quick comments. Nathan can help us. 054-998-6996. Yeah, that's the conversation around the extradition and arrest of Hajia for real on charges of romance, scam, and money laundering, I think, or money something. Proceeds of, you said some complicated thing.
All right. This one says, Jasper and Dansuman. He says, I only got to know Hajia for real when she was first arrested in the UK last year. Okay. This one says, the first time I heard her name was in Shatawale's song, and then fast forward at the airport in Heathrow, and says, I saw it happen live. Okay. Ata Alote from Amprobi says, tell Mr. Sky to calm down small. It seems he wanted to exclude most listeners from his writing.
Oh, the thing I read,
Yeah. But he did say that he was deliberately excluded.
No, they said it was Obahiagonic. No, I like that.
Pelihospa
Obahiagonic.
So that's Nana's. This one says, Bernard, the point you raised is extremely important. Mona has lived in Ghana all her life. Okay, and people on this world. Somebody's alleging that she's been.
Read the message.
I should read it as I see.
Read the message.
Okay, this one says, Mona has lived in Ghana all her life. People on the street have known her to be involved in fraudulent deals for years. When she entered mainstream music, people on social media always refer to her top-class videos as fraud-funded and threw shade at her. It was an open secret that she was a big girl in those circles. How come our fraud unit has never followed up?
That's the question.
There are plenty of them on Instagram and in mainstream entertainment. They are known luxury boutiques washing money for people in Accra. It's an open secret. Is anyone in our Ghanaian security services monitoring? Have we heard of such arrests? Romance scam has become so normal in our society. People boldly justify it as taking back what the West stole from us. I once spoke to a 15-year-old boy who wanted to buy an iPhone so badly for one reason only. Guess what? All his friends in secondary school were involved in romance scam and were making decent money.
Which is the point you were just at.
Yeah, from airport. This one says, I can bet my bottom dollar that Hajia Bintu is a victim of. We are talking about Hajia for real, not Hajia Bintu, gentlemen. Says these scammers never use their own pictures. They use other people's pictures and identity stolen from the original owner. Her looks certainly make her a good target. Okay, so Frank says maybe she could be innocent. Well, the Americans haven't said she's guilty. They are charging her. They are charging her. Anyway, let's move on. This one says Richard just writes perfectly as someone from Southern Volta with precise contextual use of language. It's not only in English; they do it for the other language as well.
No, it's Obahiagbonic. All right.
This one says Bernard. Okay.
Hello, Bernard. Yeah.
Hello, Bernard. This one says this romance scam is happening all over the place. It's all around us. The hairdresser apprentice who is leading on the mechanic apprentice to fund her vocational training. The university students leaning on the pro-Trotsky or taxi driver to help her finish her course. All part of it. Some of the murders of young ladies are as a result of these things. Most of them are love scams gone bad. Financial fraud is very prevalent among the youth, and the kingpins have become idols or icons in their communities. But we in Africa don't question wealth. That bad culture is contributing to this insatiable quest for affluent lifestyles on the back of unexplained wealth.
It says Agbedefu.
Agbedefu.
From Lord something.
Okay.
That is not exactly correct.
That's what
the idea that we in Africa don't question wealth. I mean,
it depends on where you are. Have we invested in systems that? Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. I go
African home.
Sky.
If you take,
you don't know what you're saying.
Something to the house.
Not these days,
Sky. Sky, in the days of testimony time.
Not these days.
But my mom hasn't stopped asking me questions about
your mom is a unique breed. Let me read something for you from somebody who works with the beneficial ownership. Bernard.
Yes.
This topic on money laundering is interesting and should open and you should spend more time to talk about it.
Yes.
I have led beneficial ownership disclosure policy and implementation since 2014 in Ghana, Liberia, Zambia, Nigeria. These examples have been implemented by Ghana, but at most times they hit a snag where a big guy with a policy clout is involved. So they stop all political clout. Further, the overall setup of the anti-corruption and investigation units is a challenge. Most of them are set up as part of the executive who run the economy and mostly engage in these practices themselves.
Yes.
IOCO, FIC, NIB, narcotics control, etc. To my surprise, the situation is not different from Uganda, Liberia, Tanzania, and African countries. Kindly note that the GRA has started a high net worth unit with investigations, but often they seem to be facing similar challenges as the investigative bodies. So when somebody says Africans don't question wealth, if you say they question wealth in traditional society, why is it that in our modern polity, we haven't invested in systems that do the kind of thing that you can't do in the UK or the US or in China or Japan? So we can't say, we can't romanticize Africans. Oh, we used to do this in the past. If you believe in the thing, believe in the thing, invest in a system to implement it.
You see, so okay, let me explain something. It is not true that in Africa we don't question wealth. And I'm saying that even me, when I take something to the house, my mother will say, hey, right? And you have to explain why. If you go to school and you come back with something and she knows that she didn't give you
that's
that.
in the home context.
You see,
we are talking about in the social, we are talking about now in the institutional,
formal,
socio-political context.
Bernard. So if you go to the regulation 20 of LI 2374, we are told that the special prosecutor is given the authority and the task of asking a suspect. You see, that is where I was trying to deal with Godfrey's point earlier. So first of all, you must be a suspect in a matter that is before this, special prosecutor. And then he, using regulation 2374 under section 21, would ask you, the suspect, to disclose the assets you have and how you got them.
Yeah.
In other words, you are being investigated for a certain, like this woman who has been invited for questioning. You understand? Under the section, the special prosecutor may, where he deems it appropriate, ask the woman to explain what is your source of income?
What do you do? Yeah.
What do you do? How many cars do you have? Where did you get the money from? Now, you, under the law, are required to disclose faithfully your source of income, right?
Yeah.
Where you fail to disclose, they are under obligation to, where appropriate, hold you before the court. And you remember that recently, a number of customs officers or officers of the GRA were hauled before the court. Of course, they have discontinued that prosecution because they failed to disclose the source of their income or how come they got certain things at a particular time. Now, the limitation in the law is that it does not trigger the provision until, or the provision is not triggered until you are found by the special prosecutor to be involved in something untoward. You understand? So unlike elsewhere, for instance, where the law just says that if an officer has reasonable grounds to believe that you are involved in some crime, financial crime, or you have received tainted proceeds from crime like maybe money laundering or child trafficking or something like that, they can make requests for an order against you to explain your wealth. And where appropriate, they can confiscate the thing. Do you understand? But in our context, you necessarily must be a suspect. So
I understand.
So you
and
need
agree.
to be. So it's essentially what you're saying, that you need to have a brush with the law.
Yeah, because guys saying that the law, what I'm saying is that I don't disagree with you. The law is part of the problem. Yes. But what the person who has message I read describes is a societal values issue as well, which is talking about. So we are saying that when somebody makes a sweeping statement, Africans we don't question wealth.
Yeah, that's what
yes, but you cannot solve that by just using domestic examples. So even the law you just described, which is limited, is part of the inertia. And then even where the law enjoins institutions to do what they have to do, he's just mentioned institutions that are not doing it.
Yeah, because the problem is, Bernard, before you know it, the police officer would accost you on the streets and say, why are you driving?
See, we are saying that we are saying that there are issues with the law.
Yes.
But I'm also saying that even where the law is clear on what should be done, it's not being done.
Okay.
Now that inertia is because people value big manism more than truth. People hide social platforms like church, social circles, old school, and all those things create insulators for criminals. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and that's also a question of values. So we don't look at values just from the context of what happens in the home, but how that translates into how we organize society. A society that values transparency will execute its beneficial ownership laws very strictly. So if somebody's put there at Yoko or whatever, he will do the job on the basis of how he's been raised. So the argument of those who say we don't value it is that go to Denmark, go to Scandinavia, go to Asia. Societies that claim to value certain levels of transparency invest in the institutions to deliver it.
Yeah.
Whether in the right laws, the right people, or the right processes. We haven't done that. Do you understand me? Which is why the kind of thing that, why did they have to take the Americans to catch this person if the person is indeed guilty? How many people in Ghana have been caught for doing this kind of social media and all these internet fraud things? But don't we all suspect people around doing it? So we have to be honest and say that as a society, we don't invest in the thing because we ourselves, we don't believe that somebody who rises from nothing to wealth has done something wrong. We have actually created a gospel around it. Yes. Which gospel is saying that it's the blessing of the Lord for somebody to come out of tree to pee.
No, but I see. From tree to pee.
Yeah, the tree to pee.
I understand the point you're making. I understand the point you're making, but I'm saying that the regime we have, and in fact, even the UK, people question, the implications of the law because all the officer needs to actually come after you is reasonable suspicion.
Our officers are not even clean. That's the process. You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that, you see, a law, what I'm saying is that that the reason that law will be dangerous here is because the people who are supposed to be custodians of the law, a lot of them are lawyers.
So they can easily abuse it.
So that's why your point is valid that here, a policeman is collecting $1 Ghana cedi from a taxi driver. How will he be clear when somebody is involved in $1 million? If a policeman can collect 20 cedis from a trotro driver, how will he trust that person to protect financial? It's a joke. So I agree that we have not even started our journey. We haven't even started. That a policeman can collect bribe from a taxi driver in broad daylight, and you are saying this person should go and implement a law to stop financial loan.
No, and you see, the thing is not even for me. The point Sky is making. Okay, I get you where you feel that. There might be an opportunity for abuse in the sense that then you are driving your car and somebody stops you and says, hey, stop. what do you do? But I do not think that is. Yes, that is intrusive. But I don't think that is where this. That is how this
started implementing the one we even have.
No, but it's not even that. I don't even think that is how this kind of one even goes. Because if, for instance, I've seen you.
Yes.
Okay, I work in financial intelligence. I will not stop you by the roadside and say, Sky.
No.
I've just put you on the alert. So I've taken note of you and what you do. Richard, the last guy, you're in my book. Drives A, B, C, D. I will start doing checks. Okay, how many of those does he have? Okay, he's been taking holidays to Dubai. Oh, okay. He's bought a house here. Oh, okay. Then maybe I'll contact the tax people. Last year, Sky, how much tax did you pay? So before the day that I will stop you or invite you to have a conversation, generally, which is what we expect to happen, this is not supposed to happen like a random police stop. There would have been a certain level of digging done into your background where when you come and say, okay, Sky, over the past 6 months, we've realized that you're a journalist. Yes. We checked, your taxes indicate that you pay A, B, C, and D. But you drive A, B, C, and D. How did you get that one? Okay, I do A, B, C, D on the side. Can you show us your tax returns on that? How much income came through that? Where are the contracts for that? If you're able to explain those things, okay, we don't have a problem. This is what you actually do. Okay, rather than, I don't think it's about, okay, the law says you have to be able to explain well. So we see Bernard Avle driving his new car. Hey, Bernard, stop.
No, hold on.
Let's do that.
I understand the steps that you have taken this thing through.
Yes.
But the caution I'm trying to send to you is, in the UK today, if you enter, for instance, the rules say you can't enter with more than $10,000 what do you call it?
Pounds, yeah.
Right? And generally around the world, you cannot be flying with more than $10,000. There's limitations imposed. There are time officers, and I've read cases on that. Officers, if the money is short by, say, 100 pounds, they themselves would surreptitiously add 100 pounds. So then it exceeds the limit, based upon which they can arrest you, right? When they take you like that, all that is required, and I'm saying, is that reasonable suspicion. Now, the question of what is reasonable in the minds of what they call an officer, exactly. It is not about the meticulous way which would come within the remit of the regulation we are talking about here in Ghana. If they suspect you of being in child trafficking, they suspect you of being a cocaine smuggler and all of that. All they need sometimes is that you have a certain amount of money with you, and they have reasonable basis to suspect that this money is a source, or maybe it's from proceeds.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that there are positive sides to how the UK deals with it. There are also positive sides to how we are dealing with it in Ghana, because first of all, we have to determine that you are suspect in a matter having to do with corruption. The officer, OSP, would then come in and say, okay, explain how you got this kind of thing, or disclose to us the assets you have, and explain how you came to acquire them. So what I'm saying is that, yes, I understand that there are ways of dealing with it. There are various ways of dealing with it. But if we are not careful, we'll be just abusing people anyhow because we suspect that they are doing
for now, dear, we are not doing anything.
We haven't even started.
We haven't scratched the surface.
The OSP did something recently. So we should commend them.
They should list. You see how Galamsey, when we pushed, they posted 191 people have been in the process of being prosecuted for Galamsey in a number of cases. Maybe the FIC, Iyoko and Co. should be regularly releasing a breakdown of cases around these things.
Let me just give you a typical example.
Do you know, I'm coming. Because I'm saying because the GRA now has an unexplained wealth unit. So between the GRA and these Iyoko things, it can become, and see, once you start involving the media, we know that these things you are doing it. So you can say, look, there's a court case today involving this person. We'll cover it because it's important for society. You see, the reason you bring media to cover certain things is to send signals to society that we are watching these things. As I sit here, I don't know if there's anybody interested in investigating these things.
No, there are. OSP is interested, and of course, do
you have a list of cases?
Oh yeah, that's what I can send you. The ones they were recently prosecuting, and there's one just coming in.
I want a list.
There's one just coming.
This is from Zimbabwe.
No,
it's not from Ghana. It's from Zimbabwe. What you are reading.
The Financial Intelligence Unit. Yes.
It's not a Ghana matter.
It's not
a Ghana statement.
Yes.
So what I'm talking about Ghana.
You are talking about Ghana.
Yes, this is a Southern African
let me
issue.
give you the office of the OSP charges for failure to declare.
No, I don't want the law. I want examples of people being prosecuted.
I'm talking about people who were being prosecuted, but which has been discontinued.
Yes.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor, this is a graphic publication, right? Of February 13, 2023. It says that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has charged 4 public servants and a civil servant for allegedly failing to comply and declare their sources of income. Their failure to declare their sources of income is in contravention of OSP Regulation 2018 LI 2374. Now, a statement issued by the OSP on Friday named the 4 as Isa Seidu, who works with the National Insurance Commission,
Okay, I remember this story.
Osei, who works with the Office of the Vice President as an administrator, as well as John Aban and Peter Archibald Hyde, both of whom are senior officers with the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Now, the accused are due to appear before the High Court, Accra, the criminal division today. Now, the story says that Regulation 21 of LI 2374 gives the special prosecutor the task to ask a suspect to declare his or her income or property as prescribed by Form 11A of the first schedule of the LI. Now, per Regulation 22, which is 20 clause 2 or subsection 2 of LI 2374, a suspect who receives such a query from the special prosecutor has 30 days to supply the information. Now, according to the form, this is 11A of the first schedule of LI 2374, a suspect who refuses to comply with a directive from the special prosecutor within 30 days, stipulated period.
So I agree with you. Special prosecutor deals with politically exposed persons. The discussion
Not only that.
Generally, it does. That's why it was set up.
It is part of it.
Yeah, but what we are saying, you see,
it deals with corruption generally.
What we are saying is that we are just saying that if the authorities are committed to dealing with these things, they should be more visible in what they do. We don't see what they do.
I'm giving you evidence.
You are
saying that they are not doing enough. I want to push back on the view that we are not doing enough.
As for something that is being done,
we don't see what you are doing, and you give me one example of something being done, it's okay. But you and I know that the level of suspicion around this area and the kinds of things we see, the visibility of these prosecutions is very low.
Yeah, that's
okay. So what we are saying is not to say, oh, because there's an example here means they are doing it. You and I know they can do so much more.
And that's
so what we are pushing for is to say institutions must work together. And from their own writing, you're saying that it has to be a coalition.
Yes.
So GRA, the police, the FIC,
and I'm being told, by somebody who is in the space that the new FIC BOG guidelines, places, and it's imperative on banks to do ask for source of wealth.
The banks. The banks are a major part of this issue.
Asking questions.
So I mean, I know somebody who's in this space. I think the person works at FIC, and
they were trying to explain that.
That's telling me that there's a lot happening. Maybe far away from the public eye. Yeah. But they are trying to get things
the
going.
reason why are we discussing this today is because somebody in the public eye has been nabbed and is suspected of doing it
in another country.
And we are also saying that when we look around us, we see a lot of
these things,
potential examples of this. So if people are working, why? They should let us know what they are doing. That's what we are saying. So it's not like
what about this? Like the way the government is going about the Galamsey fight. We are winning.
We are here. We're in Galamsey. We want the Galamsey fight. Don't need to come back. We are winning. Groundwater. Okay, so the thing, if you don't push, let's read a few more comments, and then we'll see what we have to do.
Yes, a few more. This one says, okay, those who made their money legit will not come on social to show off what they have. Michael from Amasaman. This one says, we really as a nation focus on political witch hunting when it comes to these investigations and forget about the citizens who are defrauding on a regular and investing in real estate to wash money, as well as boutiques selling t-shirts for 1,500 cedis. This one says, Bernard, Ghana is not ready to fight these crop tax. These persons are everywhere. Employees of local companies struggling to pay workers are seen going on fancy trips and flaunting luxury cars all over. I was surprised to meet a young journalist attend an event in a Land Cruiser with a personal assistant. Meanwhile, there are well-known accomplished journalists in this country who cannot boast of a brand new Corolla.
That's why some people we are talking.
Imam of says we are joking.
Trying to juke the V8 driving.
No, he's making a point.
He's making a point. This one says the law demands that officers declare their assets, and after they declare them, no one checks to confirm whether what they declared is true.
Good point.
When they even leave office, their assets declared will not juxtapose to what you have now.
So what's the point of the asset declaration?
So
you declare the asset in secret and you have it undeclared in secret.
This one says, interesting discussion. The issue of money laundering involves so many facets. Let me focus on where these monies stolen, where the stolen monies are sent to, the bank accounts. I used to work in the bank, so I know what I'm talking about. There's something called the KYC, know or know your customer. This is to help understand and validate transactions that occur on your customers' accounts. For example, if you open an account at the bank and failed the account opening from saying you were unemployed or a student, there's an amount of money that isn't expected to pass through your account, unless, of course, you can account for it as being legal. We see them always when they come. When they came, they settle the tellers, security to bank managers. So who is to report? There are no measures in place to curtail issues of internet fraud, and it's a shame.
Let me intervene.
There's a word in Ghana called you settle them or you sort them out.
You see, the Basel requirements impose an obligation on banks, all of whom are members of you understand, to ensure that in their various banks, they have someone who is positioned to properly, who is designated to deal with these matters. So what you, a teller, your requirement is that when you see a transaction like that, your job is to raise query with that transaction. For instance, as you said the person is unemployed and you just, for some reason, saw 1 million Ghana cedis paid into that account. And from all the checks that you have done, by knowing your customer, you know that if a student is not done any work to the best of your knowledge from A, B, C, D, and you realize that, the money is coming from potentially questionable sources, you are to raise a query with the officer in charge of that, anti-money laundering. So that officer's job is now to examine it and come to a conclusion that, I think that there's a problem with this. If he realizes there is a problem with it, they are to notify the Financial Intelligence Center that there's a problem with a particular transaction, and then they will take up the matter. Now the question is, if you, a teller, you saw something like that, and all you do is that you are collecting money, then there's a problem. And then also the supervising officer. Of course, these are clowns. Every day, by close of day, they do, how do they even call it? They do accounts, like, they submit reports to their senior officers.
Then they close their accounts.
Exactly, they close their accounts and all of that. Are you saying that those people within the chain didn't see anything wrong with a particular account and have to flag it? Then there's a problem.
Let me read a comment for you. Good morning, team. Last year, we came in contact with a man who owns a good office at Achimota.
Yes.
We felt comfortable doing business until we had an investor send in some money to his company. And the man who is the CEO and the wife as MD sat on the money and told us Iyoko had flagged his account after he was questioned by the police. We petitioned Iyoko and he went to Iyoko and said he never said his account was flagged. We are still going back and forth on the issue. Bernard, I need advice on this matter.
And just to wrap this up,
he says
on just how we can
somebody has taken his money.
Just
his account has been flagged.
Just better deal with some of this. If you go to, I've just been going to a lot of jurisdictions, including one that I was very familiar with, and just checking hours and the kind of noise that is made about reporting unexplained wealth.
Thank you.
Okay, because I don't think any of us here in our engagement, and we are very regular users of media, and maybe those who are listening to us, where was the last time you saw an ad or a suggestion somewhere that you can report unexplained wealth to, say, the FIC or Iyoko? So I see Bernard, I pick up my phone. This is the number that you
do. I even know who Iyoko is?
Do I know where I
FIC
deal
is?
with? Because I'm going through a lot of jurisdictions where it is quite open that they tell you what to look out for
and who to report
to once you feel that these things. So it says that common characteristics for you to report to us, and this is the Corruption and Crime Commission, Australia. They say, 1, the accumulation of assets not proportionate with the person's lawfully acquired income. If you see this, Because you know your next door neighbor. Frequent purchases of luxury goods or services, including travel, without their apparent lawful means to support those purchases. Regularly performing large transactions in cash. Storing large amounts of cash at your residential address. Right? If you take note of these things, and then they go on to explain other things, but it says if you can report suspected unexplained wealth to the CCC. If you suspect anyone, submit an online report to ABCD. There's a phone number. This and this, and this is the process that you go through.
Wonderful. All right, we'll take a few comments and then we'll move back. When we finish, when we do discussion, we will end with some highlights of the flag bearer of the NDC's speech he delivered yesterday.
It's just something I was very uncomfortable with.
At the UDS. So we'll add some portions of the acceptance speech for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the FIC, they've been putting out reports. I have a snippet of a report they put out in 2018 detailing some of the things that they did. So, for example, they noted a few things. So there were 540 separate reports of different things, and some of the actions taken. So in some cases, funds were returned from the source. In other cases, remittances recalled funds on grounds of fraud, unclear business transactions and all. There were some cases where some of the money transfer platforms, i.e. Western Union, MoneyGram, were to take action and all of that. So, yes, the FIC is working, but maybe we need to hear...
Let me also read a quick comment on the research in secondary schools. So, good morning, Citi FM. Good morning. Bernard, I teach in a high school in the Eastern region. And a Form 2 boy used a teacher's profile picture to threaten girls on Instagram to send him nudes, which was successful because he suspected the girls used phones in school. When he was caught, the school cracked the whip and the matter was reported to the Chebi police station. The police said unless the matter is reported at headquarters, they cannot do anything. And now the boy is gone back home with no charges pressed against him. This is from Wise in Chebi. Says, you see how security agencies shift the responsibility here? This boy will grow up to do worse things because he feels left off the hook.
Well, why does this need to come to Central?
Maybe the boy is a big man's son. Okay. So they say he should come to Central Police Station because they don't feel empowered enough or they don't have the tools to investigate
in Chebi.
That's the point.
Okay. So we have an online fraud unit, internet fraud unit.
Yeah, cybercrime.
All right, let's hear a few quick announcements from Nathan.
As fate would have it, Latex Forum is saying that people should not fall victim to fraudulent activities. Says people are being duped via social media trade, and Latex Foam is saying that they do not trade on social, and so whoever transacts business on Latex Foam products on such platforms is doing so at their own risk. Latex Foam is advising the public to visit the showrooms of their shops and accredited dealers for high quality products. Standard Water has been providing us water. They've been doing this for 25 years and they are in 11 regions and they are still expanding. If you want water for whatever thing you're doing, call Standard Water on 0202-055703 or 0547-334-385. This ad is FDA approved. Now, we are talking about money and all of that, but if you want to get money the right way, speak to First Atlantic Bank. If you're a government worker and you are paid through the Controller and Accountant General's Department, you can apply for a First Atlantic Bank payroll loan. You can get up to 150,000 cedis to sort out all your pressing needs. Visit any First Atlantic Bank branch or dial *442*30# to apply and enjoy the lowest rates. First Atlantic Bank, refreshingly different. Old Mutual Ghana is 10 years old and you can join them as they celebrate a decade of greatness. They have a workforce of about 500 employees and they are the ones with an efficient chatbot service, and they can also give you a 16-hour call center facility. So whatever time, just call them. They will sort you out. Call Old Mutual on 0501-579-204 or visit oldmutual.com.gh. Old Mutual do great things every day. Airtel Tigo is saying that from May 31, if your SIM card is not registered, you will lose it permanently. It's gone for life. So go to any Airtel Tigo office and get those SIM cards registered to avoid permanent loss in terms of your numbers. Airtel Tigo, life is simple. And ECG is going cashless. ECG says that the enhanced ECG app can let you do cashless business with ECG anytime and anywhere. It allow you to do credit top-up for your smart prepaid meter. You can the app will accept payments from Momo wallets, Visa, MasterCard, and other platforms as well. It's safe and convenient and secure for 24/7 use. Download the ECG Power app from the Google Play Store or the App Store. Customers with non-smartphones should dial *226# to access the ECG Power app for all transactions. Call ECG on 0302 611 611. Help ECG to serve you better.
Here's a quick message. Good morning, Bernard. Interesting discussion this morning. I was part of a team who had to amend one of our anti-graft laws. And one of the provisions we introduced was unexplained wealth orders, as is being practiced in other jurisdictions, where you should not necessarily have issues with the law before it is triggered. In some jurisdictions, once your unexplained wealth crosses a threshold, it triggers an invitation to explain. Unfortunately, our MPs kicked against it with all their powers and might. One actually asked us how we expect them to explain their campaign funds, etc. We had to come to a compromise and tie it to instances where the person falls foul of the law. We can discuss this further. We must pass a legislation where you should not necessarily fall foul of the law before unexplained wealth orders are triggered. Reasonable suspicion should do. We can retrieve a lot of taxes even from this kind of legislation. Others, you didn't pay appropriate tax or you're actually committing a crime. We can discuss this further. I'm driving. So this is the same thing.
But the point I was trying to make, that there's a difference in terms of approach.
We'll come back with more. We'll take you to Tamale. Mahama gave a speech to accept his nomination. We'll pick some highlights for you. Stay with us.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Wow! Kofi, is that your new car? It's very stylish.
Yes, it's the Volkswagen Polo Sedan with over 600,000 sold worldwide and now available in Ghana. It comes with a 1.6-liter automatic petrol engine and 105 horsepower. It is well equipped with a durable design, reliable safety features, and built with German quality standard. Linda, this car is value for money. It even comes with a 3-year, 120,000-kilometer warranty. It gives me great driving pleasure every day.
That's impressive. I would like to own one too.
Well, contact Universal Motors Limited on 0544 338 804 to own yours now.
In a world that's always moving, it's important to have a bank that shares your values and your spirit of perseverance. A bank that understands what it takes to succeed and is there to help you every step of the way. Whether starting a business, building a home, or planning for retirement, we're committed to providing you with the highest level of service and support. We understand the changing times and are ever ready to partner you. We accept your challenge and are ready to build tomorrow with you, because our values of responsible, effective, and decisive, just like yours, have brought us success over the years. And we are committed to helping you achieve your goals today and tomorrow.
Call back, forward together.
Bet365 is now officially available in Ghana. When you place a pre-match multi-bet on football, you go get bonus up to 70% to your winnings if your bet is successful. You can choose from markets like full-time results and both teams to score, from selected competitions including the Premier League, Champions League, and much more. Get this great offer when you visit the official site at bet365.com.gh. Over 18s only. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
The news cycle can sometimes be rather daunting. With an abundance of media houses publishing daily, where does one even begin? What the papers are saying is a one-stop shopping experience to knowing and understanding the most important news items that made the headlines. Catch the next episode of What the Papers Are Saying at 9 p.m. each Thursday, only on Citi TV.
The Citi Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
I'm saying you are someone Dawson. If you are one, no be town. That's when you could push you be other. So I call you now. You got some more your team, my brains were still.
Yesterday, the NDC outdoored their flag bearer who delivered an acceptance speech in an impressive ceremony in Tamale. Here are some highlights of the speech he delivered.
I accept this onerous responsibility placed on my shoulders with absolute humility and a deep sense of respect for the tough tasks that lie ahead in resetting our beloved nation Ghana to one that allows us to regain our lost glory. Ours is a nation that led the decolonization process in Africa, a nation held up as the model of democracy and governance in Africa, a nation of prudence in the management of its economy and resources. This victory is not about me, John Dramani Mahama. It is about our people and the creation of a society that allows our citizens to live a decent and dignified life. It is about expanding access to health care so that our mothers and sisters will not lose their lives carrying out their biological duty of procreation. It is about the little children whose promising future is cut short because of a dangerous boat crossing in search of an education. It is also about managing our economy and finances in a manner that does not require us to appropriate the lifetime investments of our retired senior citizens and the middle class. This victory is about raising security and investments and funds for future generations, and not just for spending in a day. It is about restoring trust once again in our institutions and engendering love and pride in the name Ghana. But first, we must win the elections in 2024. And that will require from all of us hard work and winning the trust of the people of Ghana. The NDC and Ghana's interests must therefore continue to guide and bind us all together as one people from one great family. From today, right here in the hall of the University of Development Studies, I declare that the internal competition for the flag bearership position is over. You have chosen experience with vision over experiment, and I'm confident that in December 2024, Ghanaians will make that choice that puts us back on the path of building the Ghana we want together. We must flip the coin from competition to cooperation. We need cooperation to build a better Ghana and a better NDC. I'm therefore calling for cooperation among all elected parliamentary candidates and your aspirants and supporters. Incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries must also keep their heads up. You remain heroes for the good job you have done and continue to do. We need your experience and talents for the honors job that faces us when the good people of Ghana give us a mandate to steer the affairs of this country once more. Above all, we need you in the remaining 1.5 years of your parliamentary mandate to carry out your duties in Parliament with dedication and commitment to safeguard the interests of the Ghanaian people. And I wish to assure you that I intend to meet with these MPs at the earliest possible opportunity. I wish to assure you that you are still assets of the party, and we shall make use of the talents and experience that you have garnered. The party needs you and will continue to rely on you as we seek to win election 2024 and change the destiny of the suffering people of Ghana. We must remain one solid family. Let me emphasize and urge all of us as members of the NDC to rededicate ourselves, commit our energies and resources to work hard to win 2024. I assure you of my open-mindedness, my open door policy, and my commitment to run a government that will be based on merit and competence. Let me reaffirm my unshaken commitment to offer the needed support to our parliamentary candidates and all constituencies to make certain that we secure a healthy majority in the next parliament. What this means for our party is that we must conclude the outstanding parliamentary elections as soon as possible so that we can focus our resources on the campaign for the upcoming national elections. I assure you that together with the national chairman, the general secretary, and other executives, we will plan and campaign very vigorously with clear objectives and strategic outcomes. We owe it as a duty to our country to do so, and we shall. On this note, as I dissolve my innovative, hardworking, and successful campaign coordinating team led by Professor Joshua Alabi, I wish to thank the team, my staff, my security, the media, the NDC regional chairman, regional and constituency campaign teams, and of course my wife, Lordina, my children, and my siblings, some of whom are here. Stand up, let them see you. Thank you. Thank you. And my siblings, and all others who are on this journey with me. I can never repay you for your generosity, dedication, and love for me and for our country, Ghana. Let's hold on to hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we must urgently commence building the Ghana we want together, because our dear nation Ghana is sailing through perilous seas. Our socio-economic foundation as a nation has in the last few years not only been threatened, but has been fractured and dislocated. Corruption and the raid on the public purse have come to a crescendo. The rights of citizens, including journalists, no longer matter to this government. In the last 2 years, Ghana has dropped on the Press Freedom Index. Our national health insurance scheme is comatose. The scheme is starved of funds by the government capping policy and the refusal to release proceeds of the National Health Insurance Levy to the National Health Insurance Authority. Patients are faced with an empty scheme that only ensures retrieval of their medical folders and consultation. Even basic drugs, such as analgesics, cough mixtures, and antibiotics, must be purchased by patients themselves from the drugstores. For the first time in our history, retirees and the middle class are facing the existential threats to their survival and financial stability due to gross mismanagement of our economy by a grossly inept finance minister and economic management team. For the first time in known memory, newborn babies are unable to access the full complement of their childhood vaccines. Yet these newborns and the younger generation also face the heavy burden of inheriting a suffocating national debt, which stands at almost 600 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of over 100% of our GDP. Only a fortnight ago, the government recalled members of parliament, and the main purpose for this recall was to approve a further $710 million, more debt to compound the already choking national debt. Ladies and gentlemen, the lack of vision and prospects by government is patently discomforting. And that is why we have no option but to win election 2024. This is to reset our country on a path of transformation for progress and prosperity. I come to you, the good people of Ghana, and I say there's hope for our country. That hope will emanate from our very selves as a resilient nation, a people with a passionate appetite for progress and prosperity, a people capable of rising from the ashes of catastrophe like a phoenix to build a stronger and smarter nation to serve our needs and wants. This hope also springs from a leadership that is willing to accept responsibility and fix the problems rather than pass the buck. A leadership that is honest and does not lie to its people. A leadership that is consultative and willing to build a consensus in solving the challenges that confront Ghanaians in their daily lives. I have an unshakable conviction. I believe and I know Ghana shall rise again. My vision for our beloved Ghana aligns with your expectations for a better Ghana, one that we're going to build together. Beyond my vision, ladies and gentlemen, our Constitution also gives us hope. It creates the foundation for a fourth Republican democracy, a democratic dispensation that is still the best form of government and which we must guard and protect. Because, however abysmal and appalling the performance of a government is, the people have an opportunity to make a change at the next election. Clearly, the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia NPP administration has failed to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people, and they must prepare to bow out at the next election. And they must start preparing their handing over notes. And get ready to account to the people of Ghana for their stewardship. Yes, there's hope for our country. I firmly believe in our collective ability as a party to lead a transformation agenda that restores decent values, revives youthful aspirations and ambitions. Ours will be a progressive government that provides equal opportunities for decent and sustainable livelihoods. I'm convinced that by working together with Ghanaians, we shall turn Ghana's hopelessness and gloom today into a better and brighter tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, let me dwell a bit on the destructive elephant in the room, which is the economy. Literally and figuratively, the government's economic management team has displayed grave incompetence, mismanaged Ghana's economy, and inflicted severe hardships on Ghanaians, including the elderly and the young. Ghanaians now know the address of the so-called solid economic management team, in quotes. The chairman and members of this economic management team have become the butt of jokes in people's homes, in the marketplaces, in restaurants, on social media, and on the airwaves because of their misguided commentaries both in opposition and government. As a leader, your word should always be truthful. It should be sincere and honest. It should count for something. If you're not truthful, you lose the trust of the people. Prices of goods and services continue to see extreme increases with devastating effects on the livelihood of Ghanaians. The price trends reflect the inflationary increase from 15.4% in December 2016 to over 40% presently. Unfortunately, as inflation rises, employment has not improved but has worsened. The growth rate of the agricultural sector, which was 2.7% in 2016, despite all the sloganeering, was a paltry 0.7% in 2022. The manufacturing sector, which stood at 7.9% in 2016, dipped to 4.5% in 2022. And the construction sector has gone down from 8.4% in 2016 to 4.2% in 2022. Sometimes, when I read about these terrible economic trends coupled with credit rating agencies downgrading Ghana, I ask, what has happened to the unprecedented resources that have accrued to the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government since 2017?
So that was the NDC's flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, in his acceptance speech in Tamale, where he spoke to the party after he was voted to be the party's flag bearer in the 2024 elections. We're wrapping up in a second, but if you are between the ages of 18 and 24 and you want to win 20,000, sign up. Sign up for Voice Factory Season 5. Just send your name, contact, age, location, and a short voice note singing your favorite song to the WhatsApp number 0558 973 973. Voice Factory Season 5 is powered by Citi TV and supported by Citi FM. That's our CBS for the morning. Many thanks for listening. My name is Nathan Kwao. Ending the show. Earlier you heard Bernard Avle, Godfred Akoto-Boafo, and Richard De La Sky. Thank you for your messages that came in. Show was produced by Fred Jabano and Caleb Kuda. Godfred Odum supported us on technical. Caleb Kuda is here with the news at 10.
Good morning, Nathan. Coming up 7